Hello, everybody. Hello. This is it, folks. Today, we are talking Sri Dharma Acharya, my guru of the last few years, who I no longer follow. Today is the big conversation that some of you have requested, where I reveal what happened to the point where my guru has blocked me on Facebook. That's a really cool bragging point. And where I will have nothing to do with him, and I pretty much no longer promote him or anything. So this is it. This is it. A big show. So get comfortable. Get your cup of coffee. We're going to be doing a lot of talking today. The chat window is open for anyone who does want to chime in, but I'm going to be honest, I have so much that I want to share that I am not really paying attention to it and won't really be taking time out to respond to your comments, maybe at the end of the thing, but feel free to chat anyways. I am going to be doing my entire story with Sri Dharma Acharya, and I've touched on this on earlier videos, but now we're going to do the big picture, because I really feel it's important to look at everything and see the context. So we're going to start from the beginning and go right up to the present day. It is currently May 30th, 2026, and the events I'm talking about go right through about January or February. This is a show I've put off for a little while because I didn't know if I was ready to share and just throw everything on the table, but we're going to do it. And I think it's really important for me to do this because I talk so much about cults and warn everyone against joining a cult or being leery of cults or just being leery of bad gurus or not following a dark road. I believed that it would be hypocritical of me to not share my story. It would be going against everything I've been about since I started this channel over 3 years ago. It would also be incredibly arrogant of me to be like, well, I don't want to tell you about what's going on with me, even though it's a great example of everything I talk about. So that's why I've decided to do this. I have to do it. Also, I'm doing today's show for Sri Dharma Acharya himself. I know he's going to be watching. If not live, then after the fact. I'm actually probably going to email him because I want him to see this. So, Sri Dharma Acharya of DharmaNation, YouTube, and the International Sananta Dharma Society is not a cult leader. The ISDS is not a cult. I want to clarify that right now. I do not think he is a cult leader in any way, shape, or form. Not even close. He's no more a cult leader than Rosie O'Donnell is, okay? The people who are in that group, and I don't know many, I just know a few. They're not cult members. So I want to clarify that. I'm not accusing him of that. But I do believe he is a great teacher who is falling and hurting his work, hurting his entire career, hurting everything he has dreamed of due to his own fallacies, which he is not coming to grips with. And I'm hoping that he listens to this show and starts to think, okay, maybe I'm not being attacked by FBI agents. Maybe the world isn't after me. Maybe I need to get out of my head with a bunch of conspiracy theories, and we're going to talk about this later. And maybe Aaron is right. Maybe I should just start to look at myself and do something I never do, which is be humble before I destroy my business and everything I've worked up for. Humbleness is not Sri Acharya's thing. I don't think he knows how to be humble. I don't think he knows how to be friends with anybody. It's always this guru thing, and I think it's beginning to hurt him, and I hope he stops and backs up. And maybe takes some time out for himself before he does real damage. Maybe he does a facelift to the DharmaNation thing. You know, that website's pretty out of date, and an out-of-date blog on a website looks really bad. And putting up new title cards on your YouTube page with your photo sitting there nice and smug isn't helping any when your reputation is for being smug. Look at Muji and others. They're smiling. They look happy. Maybe this is a sign of like, hey, let's back up. Maybe all the things that are happening should be, or is, a message to you that you're going to get and you're going to do something about before you ruin everything. I don't want you to ruin everything. I think you're a good teacher. So that's part of why I'm doing this, is to maybe make him aware that it's time to just step back before it's all gone or hurt. And it's not that he's a cult leader, it's just that he's human and he doesn't want to confess that. We're going to get to this. I'm sort of touching on things without mentioning it, but we're going to go into all these details. So, yeah, is that what I wanted to say here before we jump into the small print, just to make sure also I wanted to say this is my story. I'm going to be talking about my perspective and my opinions and my experiences. There are others who have left the ISDS in the past year. There was an exodus from the ISDS last year in 2025, and I believe it continues. And part of it is due to Sri Acharya not realizing he's his own enemy. The people who have left have some issues that I have, but also have different issues with Sri Acharya. I speak for myself only. I know one of them is planning on doing his own YouTube talk. There's a couple articles that I'm going to be sharing today. This is just me. I want to clarify that. This is me and my opinion. I don't represent everyone. I just happen to be part of an exodus that happened at the same time as others. So I'm not representing anyone other than myself. Does that make sense? I just want to clarify these things. I'm trying to help Sri Acharyaji. I'm speaking for myself. This is my opinion. This is my experience. He's not a cult leader. And with that, I think we're good to go. If you would let me take a drink, I'm going to be taking many of them, I know. And then we're going to dive into a big story. So I know a lot of people who have left him have started calling him by Frank. If you start talking to ex-ISDS members or ex-followers, they now refer to him as Frank, because that's his real name. I am choosing not to do that simply because a lot of people who are watching this video may still be followers, and I don't hate him to the end of the earth. And the granting of his name is not connected to what's happening now. So I'm going to call him Sri Acharyaji, or Sri Acharya, and I don't want to be as condescending as it feels to me when we call him Frank. So let's go back in time to 2018. This is when I found him on YouTube. Late 2018, 2019. My girlfriend had yet to pass away. She would die in January 2019. And I remember I discovered him before that when my relationship with her was officially dead. I was just waiting for her to die. I gave her like 5 years. She was a train wreck, alcoholic, whatever. I've mentioned her before. And I found him on YouTube before he was doing his regular Sunday series. So he was just doing random episodes now and then, or there was old talks. His YouTube channel was very different. I got into it. I don't remember exactly why or how I found him. I think it was just the algorithm. I just know my relationship with my ex-girlfriend, she was living with me, but she was a walking basket case, and I was beginning to see this other woman who I had known previously, and life was going in many directions. That's all I can kind of remember, and a part of me was shut down emotionally, and money was tight, and things were rough. And somehow I stumbled upon Sri Acharyaji. I don't know if I was looking for a guru. I do know that I was still sort of holding on to the Adidam community on Facebook. And I think I just recently had a fight with them and walked away, but I was still sort of in this shadow of Adida, which I've talked about extensively on this show. So I found Sri Acharyaji, and I'm watching his videos, and I'm mesmerized by him. He's not glamorous like other gurus. He's not flashing lights. He seems very down to earth. He seems super knowledgeable, incredibly smart. When he says he's read all 12 books of the Srimad Bhagavatam, I believe him. And actually, I'm on book 7 right now. It's an undertaking. I believe him. Other gurus, they haven't even read one. So I was very much impressed by him. I was also turned off by him. He came off as smug, arrogant, and know-it-all, condescending, and I'm not going to say an asshole, but the attitude he put out in some of his videos and continues to put out is, I'm the smartest man in the room. Go fuck yourself. Very arrogant. Arrogant exudes from him, like money exudes from George Soros. I've heard others say this exact same thing. I have shared videos of Sri Acharyaji with others, and they have come back to me with, no, I'm not really interested in him. He really comes off as an asshole. I don't know if he means to be like this, but it happens, and he can be very condescending. Part of it is because he's very much in the sense of, this is what I know, and I'm not even going to argue with you because this is right and I am right. He's always right. I've watched so many videos since 2018. Sri Acharyaji is always right, even if he's not. And I'm not saying that we should all be wishy-washy liberals and like, oh, whatever goes. I don't do that on my show. But there are moments where you can doubt yourself and go, you know what? This is what I believe, but I might be wrong. He is never might be wrong. He considers himself an authority, and it's very much off-putting. So I started watching his videos, and I stopped because it was a little bit too much. Also, he kept referring to things that I wasn't really familiar with. I'd studied religion. I'd been in IDDAM. I thought I knew stuff. And then I realized that I really didn't know a lot of things. And somehow I found myself going into ISKCON. And I ordered a shit ton of books from ISKCON by Sri Prabhupada. And I started studying, and I would get on websites and learning about the real, I won't say necessarily ritual aspect of Hinduism, but the practices and things and beliefs and gods that I really wasn't familiar with, or not as much as I thought I was. So I started studying this and realized that I was a little bit ignorant, quite a lot ignorant, and others around me were just as ignorant, I realized. And that really kind of opened my eyes, and I studied more. And then at some point in 2019, I went back to watching Sri Acharyaji, and what I found was a lot of what he said now made more sense. Because he was coming from a very grounded base, and I was coming from this Advaita Vedanta New Age background. I was not well-grounded and well-versed. When I first started this YouTube channel 3 years ago, that's one of the things I said early on is, this is my journey to learn and discover. And that is a journey that really started with him. And so when I came back to him, I had all this information from Sri Prabhupada. He made so much more sense. And what happened is I didn't feel he was as arrogant as before. Because suddenly I realized he knew shit that a lot of people don't know, or they think they know. For example, go out there and ask people who might be interested in Hinduism, have you read the Kama Sutra? And some of them may say, well, I saw a version in the bookstore. Ask them if they read all 7 volumes. And I guarantee most of them will look at you and go, what do you mean 7 volumes? Well, it's a 7-volume book. No different than the Srimad Bhagavatam is a 12-volume book. But nobody reads those 7 volumes. They read little versions of it, Wikipedia-like versions of it, Cliff Note versions. So most people don't really know the essence of the Kama Sutra. Now, I've read all 7 volumes, and once you've read it, you realized how much more you seem to know. So Sri Acharyaji is in that same position. He's read it, he's done the work, he's talking to people who haven't, they don't even know, and yes, it comes off as condescending. I began to forgive him, though, because I realized he's just in a very knowledgeable place. And I began to find it very inspiring, and I kept watching him. So that's where I was with him, and I continued to watch his videos religiously, literally every week. I wouldn't miss an episode. And I began to learn more about ISKCON, and I was watching stuff out of the Toronto ISKCON temple with Bhakti Marga Swami, the walking monk. They used to do stuff during COVID. And so that was where I was for a while. And I didn't question anything Sri Acharyaji was saying. And then I started to question him. I couldn't tell you what year this is, but you can go back on his YouTube and you can trace this, because this is the point where I started to pull away from him. I had gotten used to his attitude. I'd gotten used to his approach and his knowledge, and I'd really sucked it up into my spiritual belief system. He's a huge impact on me. And I'd really started purging and being inspired by him. Purging as in purging beliefs that I really didn't hold onto or believe anymore. He got me to investigate. And I'm forever grateful for that. And I think he's gotten others to investigate. But the more I started questioning myself, I found myself sometimes questioning him. And I have come to the conclusion now, or I should say I now confess this, that just because you're a religious guru doesn't mean you're an expert on everything. I seriously wish religious gurus would stop this bullshit and pretend that they know about everything when they don't. Imagine if a brain surgeon came up to you, washing his hands fresh after an operation, and went, "Well, I can tell you about anything related to economics, the media, history, ancient Greece, any language ever, etc., etc." You'd look at him and go, "Really? You have enough time to study everything in the world?" No, I don't think so. And Sri Acharyaji basically presents this, that he's an expert on everything. And other gurus do too, that they're an expert on everything because they understand spirituality. No, that's not true. And this started getting to me at a certain point in time. Like I said, you can go back and find this time, because there's an interview that he did with the Asatru community. And that's when it started to fall apart for me. And I have found out from others who have left his group that this also ruffled feathers of other people. So there is an interview that he does with someone who follows Asatru, which is, I guess, the Nordic path. And that's fine. He does interviews with lots of people. He did one with me, and we're going to talk about that. But at the end of this interview, he announced that he had been given, I guess in a dream or a vision, a Asatru Gayatri Mantra. And then recited it on this live show, which was, wow, revelation. And I sat there looking at this and going, so you're telling me that Vishnu came to you in a dream and gave you a mantra in Sanskrit for Odin, and you're now giving it to this other group that doesn't speak or use Sanskrit, because I guess Odin isn't so powerful or able to communicate with Vishnu or Krishna or whoever. It was so strange, and it's a little condescending, because it's basically like, my God's better than your God. I've got a message from my God to your little demigod, is how that felt. And by the way, here it is. It looks like every other Gayatri mantra out there. It's not that special. Oh, and it is a dream. Dreams are always questionable for me, because we can't prove them. It just felt so weird and condescending and just weird. Imagine, let me put it another way. Imagine if not John Paul II. Who's our current Pope? Pope Bob. Pope Leo. I'm not going to say Pope Bob from Chicago. But Pope Leo came out and he said, I, in a dream, had Jesus Christ speak to me and has given me a prayer in Latin to Buddha. And all of you in Japan, I want to give this prayer to you from Jesus that you can say in Latin to Buddha. You would look at the Pope and think he was gone. He was gone. His mind was fried. We don't do things like that. It's weird. It doesn't work. And it's like, I guess Buddha is not powerful enough to get a message directly from Jesus then. And this Asatru thing just left me so uncomfortable. Now, I didn't realize at the time the dynamics connected to the Asatru community. This is something that actually I really only discovered with my wife, who has always found Nordic stuff interesting but won't tell anybody because they give her a bad look, because the Asatru community, not all of them, but some of them, and the Nordic religion community, again, not all of them, have been co-opted by the white supremacy community and the white nationalist community. And supposedly, I was informed that Sri Acharyaji actually spoke at a First Land or whatever conference and sat in front of people and blamed the Jews. The word that was said to me was, he sat there really smug, like, oh yeah, look, I'm one of you. The Asatru community has the white supremacy thing tied to it. Which, if you are a spiritual guru, doesn't necessarily look that good. Particularly if you have followers in Africa, and I know for a fact he does, or in other countries or other nations, it is not a good look. Now, I'm not saying that it's necessarily a good or bad movement. If you want to follow it, fine. I understand it. I got it. But for a guru in his position, supporting something like that and going to a conference for it and whatever is not a good position to be in. It's different when you're a public figure versus someone like me or whatever who's just a guy. So I didn't know any of that, though, that he had done that. And I've also heard that he likes to brag about how he used to share Hinduism on neo-Nazi websites. And we're not talking about any old neo-Nazi websites like Gab. We're talking the number one, the websites, the ones that are hardcore Klan websites. I forget the name of them right now. There's a couple of them. They may have been shut down by now. One of them used to be run by David Duke's godson. He wrote a memoir about it. Sri Acharyaji has talked about being on those and fighting for Hinduism. That's very weird. Like, why would you even be on the websites? And why do they give a shit? And why is that your audience? A bunch of white supremacists? Why are you going to them? Of all the people out there who are interested in your message, I don't think they are. It's very weird and strange. It's sort of like his support by Alex Jones. I understand Alex is famous. He showed up at my door. I'd be happy to let him in, and I'd be bragging about it too. But at the same time, it's a very weird path to walk, because some people are not going to like it that you're at a white supremacy conference. And when you say to them, well, I don't really support it, well, why are you even at the conference? It's a very questionable place to be. And I only found this stuff out in January, that he was doing this. At the time, I just heard this weird Asatru chant. So that was the first problem I had with him, and it just was in the back of my head. So moving on my timeline, I picked up a book by him, the handbook, the Sananta Dharma handbook. He has a couple books on Sananta Dharma, the basics. And I picked up this handbook, and there was something in it that triggered me that I'd also heard him say in videos. So I do not think Sri Acharyaji understands Christianity. I don't think he likes it, and I think he tries to rewrite it. And it's insulting, and I'm not Christian, but I'm insulted by the way he teaches Christianity. I think he should shut up about it. I think it's incredibly ignorant what he says, and I'll explain what he says in a second. And it's condescending in all the ways that he's critical of other people being condescending. So if you go to his handbook, he talks about Christianity and Hinduism. And one of the things Sri Acharyaji loves to talk about is how Jesus is a Dharma warrior. He was a Dharma warrior, Dharma warrior, Dharma warrior. We hear this all the time in his videos. I stopped listening to his Christian videos a long time ago. And the more I saw of them, the more I began to pull back. And you can get on his YouTube and you can find these videos so you can know exactly what year I'm talking about. It's maybe post-COVID. But he's always talking about Jesus is a Dharma warrior. I understand some people think Jesus was in India, whatever. I'm a little iffy on that. I don't think there's really any evidence. I know people say, well, they hid the truth in the Bible, but I've read about the history of the making of the Bible. I deliberately went and read about it due to arguments like this. And from what I see, they didn't hide anything. They just got rid of the books that didn't work, that are questionable. They weren't hiding Jesus' revelations about reincarnation. It's just that he didn't teach that. And someone wrote a book that's very questionable. They got rid of it. And there wasn't a secret committee. I don't believe any of that crap. I think he does, though. Anyways, he's talking about this stuff, this Jesus warrior shit. And then I get his book, the Sanatana Dharma Handbook. And it's in there that he talks about this. But he provides textual evidence to back up his claim. Okay, great. You know I love evidence, so I will go with you. I'll swing with your idea, because you've got evidence. The evidence consists of non-canonical biblical books. That's his evidence that Jesus is a Dharma warrior. So the Gospel of, St. Thomas, that's his evidence. All his evidence is non-canonical books, and either he said this or he wrote sometime, and I believe he said this in a video, that the Bible is not true, but the red lines in it, the words by Jesus in red, those are true, but everything else is not true. I may be making this up, but I could swear he said this. So his support for his Jesus warrior stuff are non-canonical books that are non-canonical for very legitimate reasons. And he thinks the red lines in the book are true, so we have the exact quotes of Jesus translated into English out of Aramaic or whatever. But the rest of the book, the context, the quotes by everyone else, 100% wrong. So the only things that are accurate is everything not in the Bible. That's your evidence? Really? Do you know how the Bible was created over 2,000 years? No, you don't. You don't seem to. Do you know how condescending that is? Because basically your argument is, I know more about Christianity and the Bible than 2,000 years worth of Christians. That's how that sounds to me. Basically, I have come to some conclusion about the Bible that nobody else has. That makes me, well, you know what it does? It makes him like these TikTokers, these woke progressive TikTokers who know nothing about the Bible, but they get on TikTok and they think they're experts. How did you come to the conclusion that all the lines in red are 100% accurate and everything else is wrong? So you mean someone was sitting there and got his exact words, but when St. Thomas or whoever said, "Excuse me, Jesus, I have a question for you," they couldn't get that down accurate? You have no explanation for how you came to that conclusion. And as for why the books you use to back up your text are non-canonical books, well, they're non-canonical for a reason, and you clearly have not spent any time studying the Bible to come to this conclusion of why those dominate. Why you should take a book that's not in the Bible as the gospel, and don't take the gospels themselves. You don't know anything about Christianity. That's just off. But makes it worse for me is Sri Acharyaji has had a habit of criticizing people who twist and turn Hinduism, who misinterpret Hinduism. On more than one occasion in videos, he has called out people who have reinterpreted it, who have twisted it. He calls out New Agers all the time, how they've not done the study, how they take this and take this and take this, and they make their own thing. They make their own religion. Well, what's the difference between taking this, this, and this, and misinterpreting this, this, and this, and making your own religion, versus taking this non-biblical book, and this non-biblical book, and this non-biblical book, and misinterpreting that in the Bible, and misinterpreting that, and making your own Christianity? There's no difference at all. So basically, he has the right to make his own Christianity, but pisses on anybody who does that to Hinduism. Can you say hypocrite? So basically, it's fine if he twists stuff around, but when others do it, that's a problem. That rubbed me wrong. That probably rubbed me wrong more than the Asatru thing. That's hypocrisy 101. Not to mention his argument is absolutely flawed if you're rewriting Christianity to make your argument that Jesus is a Dharma warrior. Let Jesus go, okay? I've said this before. I'm not Christian. He's not Christian. Why are we talking about Jesus? Or, why aren't you talking about Allah or Joseph Smith? Why aren't you talking about Mary Baker Eddy? Why aren't you talking about other people? Why aren't you talking about Buddha? Zoroaster? Why Jesus? Oh, that's right, because your audience consists of Christians and you want to lure them in. And if you sprinkle some Jesus shit in there, they'll be like, oh, I hear something familiar, and they'll come in, because most people aren't willing to abandon Jesus, because Jesus is a nice guy and you don't want to abandon him. But I think it's time we abandon him. If you're Hindu, talk about Hindu things. Otherwise, where are your talks on Buddha? Buddha was a pretty awesome guy. Why aren't you talking about him? Ah, that's right, because your audience basically is not Buddhist. So he's just talking about Jesus and goes on and on about this Dharma Warrior just to draw in his audience. It's honestly the same thing that Sri Prabhupada did, and someone called him out on that and said, why do you talk about Jesus? And he came out in a writing once and said, because my audience is into Jesus, so I've got to kind of do something to connect with them. If you go to Japan, where I lived for 3 years, you'll literally see Christians talking about Buddha, because that's how they rope in the locals to come to church. So he's just doing PR, which is fine. We all have clickbait on our YouTube. But when you're being hypocritical and reinterpreting Christianity in the way that you hate people reinterpreting Hinduism, yeah, no, that doesn't fly. That doesn't work. So this really bothered me when I saw it. And this is when I began to stop watching some of his videos. I just need to take a breather right here, and I'm going to check some sound issues. Hang on one second and take a drink. Give me a moment. This really... Okay. Everything's all right. So the next thing that bothered me, that kind of brought things to an end, was he declared a few years ago that this next year will be the year. It is going to be the year. This is going to be the year the world is going to change. And this is the prophetic year. He got this in a dream, another dream. He has seen it, and it's happening. Amen. Jesus, Krishna, whoever. A year later, he didn't mention it. He didn't mention that nothing happened. Didn't even mention the fact that he had foretold this. It was hush. But you know what happened? And I saw this on a YouTube channel. He says, this next year is going to be it, folks. This is it. I have a vision. I am a prophet. This next year is going to be the year. Everything's going to change. Next year came and went. Prophecy, I think, is one of the most dangerous things any religious person can do. I actually did an episode a long time ago on Christian prophets and how they basically make a fool of themselves. I did a talk recently about a guy who informed me that Jesus is coming in the year 2039. He did the math. We laugh at them, but we don't laugh at Sri Acharyaji, but we should. And if you're going to make a prophecy and you're going to say, hey, this is what's happening, be willing to come back a year later and go, you remember when I said that? Yeah, well, it didn't happen. Be willing to say that. I would have no problem if he said, I fucked up. Instead, he just pretends he never said it and declares the next year is it. And why is the next year it? Because he studies the media. No, he doesn't. He just watches the news like the rest of us. I don't think he studies anything other than way too many conspiracy theories. So when I hear this prophecy coming out of a guy who I hold really high and I think is really smart, I really, really wonder where his mind is going. It's one thing if you can give me a prophecy that says the Bhagavad Gita says X, Y, and Z. I'm okay with that. That is an old book. I'm reading the Srimad Bhagavatam right now. If there's a prophecy in book 7 and I can turn to that page, I'm okay with that. And you say, hey, right here in book 7 it says this, and I believe that this totally lines up with what's happening with Donald Trump right now. Whether I believe you or not, I'm sort of okay because you didn't create the prophecy. You're just sort of interpreting something that's there long before you by a great source. But when you just are making stuff up, oh, this year, and then this year, and then this next year, and supposedly what you're saying is based on authoritative stuff, but you can't cite your sources because you just made them up, you lose me. And as I said, he does this and other gurus do this. And I think all gurus should stop. Stop making prophecies. Stop calling yourself a prophet. I've honestly never met a prophet. I know many people in different arrays who've called themselves prophets, and you know what they are? They're just repeating what they see on the news. Very few people are really good. They may once in a while be lucky. I was lucky when I said that Donald Trump would win 2016. I said it. I even put it on Facebook on the notes section and then deleted that section. Maybe it's on the YouTube. I might have put it up, but I don't think so. No, I wasn't doing YouTube then, so it wouldn't be up. But I made that. So you could call me a prophet, and I've also been wrong on a lot of other things too. So I don't do that. I just am lucky. We're all lucky sometimes. Just be lucky, share it, but don't make these declarations. It makes things really uncomfortable. And I'm going to come back to this because I'm not the only one who has found these declarations to be very uncomfortable. So, fast forward, I had some issues in my brain. The Asatru thing, the Dharma Warrior thing, and the prophecy thing was very uncomfortable for me. I had actually emailed Sri Dharma, I believe more than once. I've been sending money. You can be a member. If you go on the out-of-date website, you'll see this. He'll never respond to you, though. Just give him $10 a month or whatever. Maybe unless you give him hundreds of dollars, but you'll never hear from him. But I wrote him a few emails, and I never heard from him. And whatever. That's fine. He's a busy man. You know, we've all got lives. He doesn't need to communicate with me. It would have been nice to at least have a notice that said, thank you for your donation every month. Thank you for becoming a member. Here's a membership kit. Here's a card you can print out at least. Something. It would be great to have a membership thing. If I'm going to spend money every month and give you a tithe, at least let me know you got it. Just one little note. You could put a handwritten note in the mail. Aaron, thank you so much. That's all it would take. Nothing. And I kind of wanted to reach out to him because I really liked the guy, and I saw that others were connecting with him. So eventually I did, and I thought to myself, well, maybe he doesn't respond to me because there's no reason to. So I wrote him an email that made 2 propositions, and I got back a response from him that said, hey, let's Zoom. And we did a Zoom call. It was a private call, and it was a wonderful call. He actually shared with me time when he was a young boy going to CBGB's in New York and listening to like Richard Hell. And he knew exactly the bands I like. And I loved talking to him. And he was telling me about New York and some of his relatives. It was an amazing, down-to-earth conversation. We were both talking about things that we enjoyed. I had a wonderful connection. And I wish we could have repeated that. It was my one time only. I got to just have him. Now, maybe there were other people in the room, but it was just a really nice conversation on Zoom. And in that conversation, we had 2 things that came up. 3 things that came up. 1, I would do an interview with him on YouTube. 2, I would come and speak at his conference the next year. And 3, I would help get his stuff on Spotify, because you can get on Spotify very easy and it's free. So let me just tell your person how to do it. It's super easy. And the conference, I said, I'd like to speak at your conference. I'm not too sure what about, but probably music or, I go to the gym and I'm an ultra runner. This might be something that is of interest. And I know you're a weightlifter. This was before he wrote his Be Strong book. So I thought he might be interested in that. And he said, yes, everything. Yes. Great. So we scheduled the interview. And I'd like to now turn to that scenario. So, at this point in time, you may ask, why was I wanting to do an interview with someone I had issues with? And clearly I was beginning to have some issues with that were mulling around in my head. And I have to say, it's because I tried so many times to reach out to him and had no luck that I was so happy to finally reach out and connect with him that I was willing to put my issues aside. Because I wanted the connection. So, we were going to do an interview. You may have seen it on my channel. I will discuss it in a second. And it was about this book, Radical Universalism. I bought this book and I read it before the interview. I don't know why, because he talks so much. I just would ask him a question and he would just say a bunch of shit that I've heard him say on other interviews. I didn't really need to even read it. There is one point in the interview I do break off and I ask him about the gods behind his head, and I felt that was the best part of the interview because it took him off guard and he wasn't talking about something he always discusses. I heard him later do an interview on this book with someone else, and I heard many of the same things he told me, so I was a little disappointed by it. It's a good talk, but it was a little disappointing. It was just felt scripted to me. Anyways, we did this talk and I read it and it went out. You can check it on YouTube. I promoted it. I was very happy to finally have it. How do I say this? I apologize on some level for that interview because I hate this book. I said in the interview a lie. I don't ever lie on this channel, but I said that you should get this book and I endorsed it. But I only half believe that. You should only get half the book. Because only half of it's good. It's not a good book. It has some major issues that come down to a few basic things. It's like all his other books, poorly formatted. It has amateurish formatting. No professional book being created uses double spacing, huge amounts of white space, and spaces between paragraphs. Nobody does this. You find me any novel that does this, they don't. But this would probably be an 80-page pamphlet if he didn't do it. And same with all his other books. Particularly what I've heard about Be Strong. It would be a small book if he didn't have this horrible pagination, which I've heard from other people they don't like either. I don't care what your cover looks like. If I open the book and it looks like you're screwing me over because you've got such great white space, now the book is really big and costs me more. You need to get an editor, dude, and look professional. And if you can't, okay. If you've only written 80 pages and you need to flesh it out with a white space to make it look like you've written a big book, then you need to keep writing. Now, someone might say, well, this is a thin book. Maybe there's just nothing to say about radical universalism and are all religions the same. Maybe he just said everything. Here is a book. It is on the exact same topic by Stephen Prothero. The exact same topic. It's called God is Not One. Let's see. One person does not have professional formatting and a lot of white space. One person uses normal formatting. He certainly could have said more. So, yeah, there's no excuse why you couldn't have written a 200-page book and actually formatted it like a 200-page book. He didn't. He took the easy road out and has an editor who shouldn't be editing books. They don't know what they're doing. And I've written 75 plus books. I can say that. I've been publishing since the year 2000. I've seen massive changes. I make money from my books. You don't know what you're doing. So that's the first problem I have with this book and every single one of his books. And I'm not the only person who thinks this. This other thing is this needs an editor. I do not believe there's anyone around Sri Acharyaji who ever says to him, no. Nobody says no to him. He is surrounded by yes men, because I would read this and immediately make changes. The whole focus of the book doesn't come in till halfway through. While it's ranty, it comes off as poorly researched. Oh my God! He cites things with basically based on an idea he has, with no citations, no nothing. You can't look stuff up. If you're inspired, like I'd like to know more about this topic, there's nothing here you're going to be able to use. It comes off as someone ranting on YouTube and they just turn it into a book. It's really poorly written. And like I said, it takes half the book to get to the thesis. And then when you finally get to the thesis of all religion is the same, his argument is, well, here's the argument, and every other argument sucks, because I said so. There's not a lot of devil's advocate playing here. There's just a lot of, this is it, end of story. And I heard this from my Christian friends. Well, if you can't roll the stone away from the door, I guess Jesus is real then. Well, maybe there's other explanations, like maybe there wasn't a stone. Maybe everything else is wrong. Oh, no. There's only two answers. You're either... It's the same thing I heard. It's so ranty. It's impossible to read. It is a very hard book. I love this idea of radical universalism. He turned me onto it. This is not good. What makes this worse is this is based on an essay. You can find the essay online. The essay is wonderful. I love the essay. I don't believe I've read parts of it here. I may have a video coming up later where I've read parts of it. The essay is so amazing. It is so to the point. It hits the topic. It argues. It is perfect. This was such a disappointment to me. It was such a disappointment. After this, I never bought another book by him. I've heard things about his book, but I haven't bought any. I don't want to read about semen retention or a guy who just goes to the gym and thinks he's an expert on weightlifting. I'm an ultra-marathon runner. My girlfriend ran 95 miles last week in 28 and a half hours without stopping. Let us talk about exercise and be strong to you. You're just a guy that goes to the gym. I don't want to read this shit. And after this book, I'm just so disappointed. I would like to actually now read some excerpts from this book of problems I have. I didn't go through the whole thing. I just pulled out a few little bits and pieces some time ago. Let me see if I remember. Because I accuse him of these things, so I actually want to show you evidence. Let me see what I pulled up here. I tagged this book a while ago. Now let me see if I can... Oh, I love this line. So he does a quote. He goes, "As I travel the nation delivering lectures on Vedic philosophy and spirituality, I frequently encounter a repeated scenario." Okay, do not use the word I in a book. I learned that in high school. Don't use the word I. Change it. It's very ranty, whatever, when you do that. And it hurts your credibility. Well, I travel around and I hear this. How about you phrase it like... I don't know how you would phrase that, but there's ways of doing this so it doesn't come off as just me, and this is what I saw. That's great for YouTube. It's what my YouTube channel is, but it doesn't really work for a book arguing a point of view. So then he does this quote. I'm not going to read the quote. And then he says, "Many of you currently reading this article have probably been similarly approached by parents expressing this same dilemma." What article? This is a book. What article are we talking about? Oh, you took this from your original article. You didn't change the word. You need an editor, dude. This is on page 18. An editor would have caught that immediately. An editor would have told you not to use I, and then would have said, yeah, you need to change this and go reading this book or reading this quote. Page 18, already, 2 flaws. And then we get stuff like this. Tragically, the vast majority of our present-day self-proclaimed gurus, swamis, yogis, mahants, and Vedic leaders have failed to properly lead the world Vedic community. He states things like this as a fact, but gives no supporting evidence. It's just a fact. They failed. Can you tell me how? Can you tell me why? Can you tell me in what way? You know, it might make this book really thick so you don't need your bad formatting. He doesn't do that. It's just... blanket statement that has no supporting evidence after blanket statement. Let's see. Oh, here's a great one. Today's failed leaders of the Vedic tradition are not thoroughly educated in either orthodox or traditionalist scripturally based Vedic philosophy, or in the philosophies of such opposing schools of thought as Judaism, Christianity, Islam, Marxism, socialism, communism, feminism, left-hand path, Luciferianism, antinatalism, Buddhism, Darwinian evolution, critical theory, and scientific materialism, among many other concocted dogmas spawned in modernity. Dude, if you've been listening to Alex Jones... it feels like he's trying to virtue signal so badly in this book. Oh, it's not just Islam, it's also left-hand path Luciferianism. Yeah, that's a real whatever. It's just like, oh my God, dude, you're doing a YouTube rant right now. That's how this book reads. It's full of these types of opinions. Let's see something else I pulled out here. Can't do anything with one hand on a microphone. What was this? Oh, here's one. It says, the classical traditional Sanatana Dharma that had been responsible for the continuous existence of an exceedingly sophisticated degree of culture, architecture, music, philosophy, ritual, and theology over many thousands of years came under devastating intellectual and psychological assault, Christian Freemasonic domination. However, was an ominously innovative form of cultural genocide that, while not as brutishly physical as the Islamic attempts to wipe out Vedic culture, was just as destructive to the collective psyche of the Vedic people. I just realized this paragraph is only 2 sentences. That's journalistic writing for you. Now, that's all this says. So it just came under all these people. We don't get any evidence of this. All of a sudden, these Christian Freemasonic things just happened. There's no evidence. For the record, Freemasonic is not a word, or maybe it is a word, but it's spelled Freemasonic. It's not Free space capital Masonic. Freemason is one word. I happen to be a former Freemason, a 32nd degree whatever Mason. This is page 66, and you can't spell that word right. Then we get things like, during this short span of time in the 19th century, the ancient grandeur and beauty of a classical Sanatana Dharma that had stood the test of thousands of years came under direct ideological attack. Okay, can you tell us about this? Can you give us examples? No examples. It's just a fact. I love how he keeps talking about the Christian and British Masonic-inspired Neo-Hinduism movement. You know, it'd be really nice if you detailed what that means, because Masonic in 2026 actually means something different in the 1800s in India. Here we go. This is what I wanted. Where is it? So it goes, this Masonic attack was trying to convince followers of Sanatana Dharma that the overtly Christian doctrine of turning the other cheek was somehow actually a Vedic doctrine, with the consequent emasculation of the Vedic mass psyche. Okay, got it? There's a footnote. Are you ready for the footnote? It goes, this specific goal has been greatly expanded in the 21st century to now include the forcefully prescribed acceptance of the postmodern LGBTQ feminist and transsexual phenomena in a concerted attempt to transform Sanatana Dharma from a strong Dharma Warrior culture that was traditionally one of its chief foundations to a more cosmopolitan and effeminate caricature that is designed to weaken the Vedic family to the maximal degree. What does the current LGBT movement have to do with British colonialists in India in the 1800s? Nothing. You just threw that in to virtue signal. Also, he doesn't like trans or feminism or LGBTQ. It's a phenomena. Why did you put a footnote in there? That's completely irrelevant. Just a frickin' virtue signal. And it's a sad virtue signal, too. Has nothing to do with the book. And there's tons of things like that throughout this book. Let's see, I just had 2 more markers here. He has a footnote about liberation theology in Christianity. He describes it as this grotesque theopolitical hybrid. Grotesque, really? You know, when you're in high school, you're told not to use words like that without some, that is the writing of people who are going for shock and awe. Oh, there's one Oh, here is something that drives me crazy. So this is page 76. He mentions, in speaking of the evils of traditional India and Sanatana Dharma, Keshub Chandra Sen, one of the most notorious anti-Vedic leaders of the Neo-Hinduism movement, stated blah, blah, blah. Do you know who Keshub Chandra Sen is? I don't. There's no footnote about him. He's just a notorious anti-Vedic leader. He's quoted multiple times, and that's the extent of the description we get. If you're going to quote somebody, tell us who you're quoting. Did you know Bob Jingleheimer said? Well, who's Bob Jingleheimer? Why should I give a shit? Who is he? Oh, he's notorious. Yes, but who is he? Well, he's a notorious leader. A leader of what? A neo-Hinduism movement? Is it really a movement? This was so bad when I saw it. It was like, wow, you just randomly throw quotes in here. And on more than one occasion, he quotes this guy as the source. Well, this is happening in 1800s. Here's a quote from Chandra Sen. And this was happening. Here's a quote from Chandra Sen. So after a while, I felt like the only person who was in the movement was Chandra Sen. There wasn't anybody because he couldn't find any other quotes. Now, this is page 76. If we go to page 129, it says, Ram Mohan Roy's immediate successors, Debendranath Tagore and Keshub Chandra Sen, attempted to incorporate even more Christian ideas into the new invention of neo-Hinduism. So finally, from 176 you introduce a guy, and on 129 you finally tell me who he is. That is lousy writing. That needs an editor, and the book's almost done. We're almost done, and we really haven't gotten into the argument of are religions the same. So we're on page 130. The book is 237. You only got 100 pages left, and you still haven't really gotten to your thesis. I didn't continue to go through this and pull out little things, but this was such a disappointing read for me. And I read the whole thing. You can even see my thumb marks on the side. It needs an editor badly. He's never going to get one. He doesn't want anyone around him who tells him he's wrong. So I went long on that, I know, and you may not have cared, but I wanted to do more than just talk and actually show some things that I had issues with. So I ended up hating this book, and we did this interview on it, and I owe you an apology by saying it's a good book. I lied. I straight up just lied. Now, there are things in it that are good. I actually found there's stuff in it that I like. That's why I have kept it. But there's stuff in it that needs to be reworked. That could be an amazing book, but it's not. Instead, it's trash. What's really fun is something on the back. Let's see. Is it this book or something else? Oh, he writes on the back cover, he goes, in this legendary book, Acharya exhaustively critiques and conclusively defeats the central dogma of neo-Hinduism. In this legendary book? How is a book legendary before it's even published? This book is not legendary. That's what it says. It's legendary. See it right there on the back cover. There was an earlier book that was written that was based on the article that I mentioned earlier. That book is out of print. Good luck finding it. This is an expanded edition, and I also believe very different. That is a legendary book, maybe in his own mind. If it was truly legendary, it would probably still be in print and not impossible to find. The article is maybe legendary. I think that's floated around a lot. But this book was just released. There is no way it can be called legendary. So basically what he is saying is, I have a book that's legendary. I wrote this one based on it, so therefore it's also legendary. You know, Kiss debuted with an album that's considered legendary, so therefore I guess anything Kiss does from now on is legendary, right? Because if something's legendary, everything is. Give me a break, man. That is ego tripping like nobody's ego tripping. So anyways, we're going to put the book aside. I won't talk about it anymore. We'll move on my timeline. So we did the interview. You guys can see that. He reached out to me later saying, hey, do you want to talk sometime? And I said, you mean another interview? And he goes, no, just one-on-one. And I said, no. And I never heard from him again. This was January following the interview, which was what I guess around, I don't know, Halloween, November. I said no to him, and I want to clarify this now, because my brother-in-law came back into town who is a meth head. He's on 4 years of probation. I did an earlier episode talking about a guy I ran into who thinks an asteroid's going to hit. It's him. And he has ruined the family. He's destroyed my relationship and my wife's relationship with her family. He stole money from us. He did things that are horrible. He's a drug addict. And we were dealing with this at the time because he had just conned us out of hundreds of dollars. Well, he asked for $500, otherwise there might be trouble. It went to a drug dealer. Come to find out, he was playing a game with us. It was really just a blowjob girl. She wanted $250, so he just charged extra for his own pocket. We were really upset, really pissed. We were going through this. This had just happened. There was a big crisis that happened. I was on the verge of calling the cops. I mean, we're talking huge. We were worried for our lives, people getting shot. So when he asked, would you like to talk more? I couldn't do it. I was not in a good place to talk. And the problem with Sri Acharyaji is I don't think I could sit and talk about my personal problems with him. I don't feel like he would be really interested or care. The other thing I was doing is I was reading the Ramayana. Now I have finished the 6 books of the Ramayana. I chose not to read the 7th book because I just really believe that it's an extra book that was added on. I believe the 6 books were written. I just finished the 6th one just a few months ago. And I was reading this book and it almost made me an atheist. I'm not joking. I was so thrown back by this book. I was like, this can't be true. This is insane. This book is so poorly written. This is a horrible book. It literally almost made me an atheist. So I was really dealing with that. And I even said to him, I said, well, I want to read something and then I want to talk to you about it. But I know he adamantly believes that everything in this book is true. The Ramayana is, you can't doubt it. And if you doubt him, he will turn you off. I've heard that from people, that you can't question him. So I really was hesitant about wanting to talk to him. I didn't know what I was going to talk about. But can we talk about this book that I'm having a big theological crisis over? But I know you're just going to be like, well, it's just the truth and I won't be able to talk to you. So I kind of pushed him off. I will say that I did reach out to him because the translation I had of the Ramayana, which I was reading on YouTube, was really bad. Oh my God, so much ended up on the cutting room floor when I was making videos because it just wasn't readable. And it got to Hanuman's journey and became, I couldn't understand it. So I reached out to him and he gave me a translation. And that was what I finished reading it with. That was the last time I spoke to him in early 2025. So, if you're watching this, Sri Acharyaji, when I turned you away, it was because I had issues, but I didn't know if I could come to you for those issues. And I wasn't really in a place to really just chit-chat because of what was going on with my brother-in-law. Well, it was quasi-personal, but that was it. So, I'd read this book. I'd done the interview. I'd had issues with Dharma Warrior. This is the year. I found this YouTuber who does right-hand Luciferian stuff. I think he's kind of a joke. I can't find his videos now. I think they've been taken down or the channel was banned. He sits and rants and raves and very much reminds me of Aleister Crowley. Lots of talk, but no real guts. And he had a couple videos completely attacking Sri Acharyaji. I mean, really attacking. And I put up a comment on one. And I said, you know, you're wrong. And if you're going to criticize someone, why make shit up? Why not actually say what's wrong with them? Why make shit up? If someone's got all these problems, just list the problems. You don't have to make anything up. I say this all the time. If you want to criticize Trump, don't make up lies about him. Just say what he actually says. Don't pretend he drove a limo crazy or said shit to people when he didn't. Just point to what he actually does. That's so shallow. And I wrote in this comment, if you want to criticize Sri Acharyaji, criticize his lousy view of Christianity and his hypocrisy of Christianity. Criticize what he says about Christians and then dumps on people who do that to him. That's a legitimate concern. But to make shit up about him is bullshit. And I put that on a comment. I think I put that on a couple things. My name was there. This title channel of this channel was there. I wasn't hiding. I forgot it was there, though. And come to find out, and I didn't discover this till just a couple months ago, he saw it. Sri Acharyaji saw the comments. And I just found this out, that I went on the shit list. I didn't know it, though. I didn't know it, but now everything makes sense. We're going to get there in a second. So we're in early 2025, and I remember I had one of his followers reach out on Facebook to me. I'm not going to name who, because this is not a public person. Reached out, friend requested me. I was so excited to get a friend request from somebody in the ISDS. Even though I had issues, I was still following his videos, except for the Christian ones. And this woman friended me, and we had a few things back and forth. She didn't understand something I asked about a necklace. I said, oh, is that necklace from ISKCON? And she got really pissed off at me. No, it's not. I don't have anything to do with them. Sri Acharyaji gave it to me. And I was like, oh, well, it looks like something you'd buy from the ISKCON store. Maybe he did it. It's like, that was such a shitty response. I'm just asking where it was from. You don't have to attack me. And then she vanished on me, whatever. That was like the extent of anyone I knew with ISDS. During the beginning of 2025, as I said, I made this comment. I had this one person friend me on Facebook for like a month. And I had something happen. I was supposed to speak at the conference. He said yes, it would happen. So remember I told you there was 3 things. I said we'd do an interview, I'd get him hooked up with Spotify, and I'd do the conference. I never heard from anyone about Spotify. No one ever reached out to me. I would be happy to give screenshots and details and everything, get you totally hooked up. Don't have a problem with that. No one ever reached out to me, and they never reached out to me about the conference. I never heard about the conference, anything, nothing. I plan to talk around sports and spirituality. I've actually demoed the talk. I did it one morning in the kitchen. I recorded myself, and one of these days I will play it for you so you can hear what I would have said. I was going to go to Nebraska and do it. I wanted to meet him in person. I was very excited about this. I never heard from anybody, though. And this is a problem. When you're planning something, you need to know ahead of time, well, I need to book my hotel. At one point, I even looked online about hotels. I had someone who might have wanted to stay with me in a room to save money. I needed to book an airplane flight. I need to take time off from work. I never heard a thing. Nothing. And I didn't know what to do, because some people wait till the last minute. It's May, and supposedly they're planning the 30th anniversary of my high school for August. Well, do I hit people up who I haven't spoken to in 30 years to see what's going on with that? You never know. Or maybe they're not even doing the 30th. I know I haven't heard anything. I didn't hear anything. Then an email came about the conference that had a list of speakers, and I wasn't on it. Okay, that's weird. I don't know what's going on. Well, between the time of proposing to him and the conference date, I had gotten engaged. And our wedding was basically going to be like a week or so after. I was not even going to have time to unpack my bags. And we were going to Las Vegas for a few days. Plus, we were also going to be out of town for a marathon. And what I realized was, I don't know if I can do this talk, because if there's now a money issue, that wasn't. I'm not going to cancel my wedding. I never had a definitive date for this conference, so I never was able to plan it. Maybe if it was another month, but it's in between these events. It's going to be really tight. I just don't know if I can do this. But I never heard from anybody, so I let it go. It was either that or me start emailing people going, well, why aren't I on the list? I need to book an airplane, but we've only got like 2 months, and I don't even know if I can. It's going to be expensive, so I didn't want to cause problems. I just let it go. The conference happened. I didn't even watch it. I watched it the year before. I thought it was absolutely boring, but whatever. So that was that. I'm kind of, in 2025, consciously or unconsciously, I stopped watching Sri Acharyaji's videos. I've only maybe watched 2 since January. Maybe, no. Yeah, 2. I think when I posted on that website, on that YouTube Left Hand Path video, and between the Dharma Warrior crap, and between not hearing from the conference, I'd started to pull away unconsciously. I'd stopped watching the videos. I'd tune in. I don't want to hear about this. I'd skip over stuff. I didn't care anymore. Also, this is the year. Last year was supposed to be the year, and it wasn't. And he wasn't saying anything, and that had disappointed me. And I wasn't hearing from it. I emailed him a couple times, and I never heard from him again. So I'd begun pulling away from him in 2025. And if you look on my YouTube channel, you will notice that for a long time I quote his books. I opened my shows with his book, and I stopped doing that. It wasn't really a self-conscious thing. It wasn't immediate. It was just a slow sort of, I'm not getting anything out of this guy anymore. I'm questioning some of his beliefs. I'm tired of hearing the prophecy. He spouts the arrogance that was beginning to irk me again. I know about everything. I'm an expert on everything, when you're not. You're an expert on what you heard on CNN or Fox News, last night, and that's it. And he was beginning to rub me the wrong way. And I was just letting it be, and he's my teacher, so I'm not going to do anything. But 2025, I was moving away from him. Come to find out, he'd moved away from me. Let me take a drink here. We're in this over an hour, and this is the part you really want to hear about. But I felt it was necessary to lay out the whole progression. And as I said at the beginning of the show, this is about me. So I'm now going to go into the big part, and it's sort of a snowball. I'd been pulling away from him. The conference happened, whatever. But a month after the conference, this person who had Facebooked me for a month showed up again. And I had a one-day fight with this person. And I was ready to get a lawyer after this against her and sue her to the ground, and against, well, not against him, but against her, because I felt like I was on the verge of slander. If she came after me and destroyed my channel and what I was working at and was slandering me, I felt like I was on the verge of that. She never did. And she told me something that I didn't know was true, so I would have gone after her for a fake identity when really it was her identity. I just didn't know. She wasn't clear. But I was really upset. And I had this one-day argument with this person, and I sent it to Sri Acharyaji going, we have a problem. I don't even know if I said to him that I was going to get a lawyer, but I was really close to it for slander. And would you reach out to me? And I never heard from him. But I realized afterwards, I was told afterwards, that he'd already written me off. After this email, I think I was done with him. I think I just was no longer happy. And I'm going to read to you parts of an email, not all of it, but just parts of a very long, I gave up numbering the pages, email from July 2025. And so this person had friended me on Facebook, had then gotten off Facebook, had sent me an email earlier saying, are you planning on attending the ISDS conference? I didn't see it because we weren't friends, so it went to the spam folder. Okay? When I finally saw it, the conference had ended. So a while after this, I saw this email. Oh my gosh, so-and-so had written to me wondering if I was going to go, and here I didn't respond. I'm now going to read to you my response to this person. And again, I'm not naming this person because this is not a public figure. So I wrote, so this went into the spam folder, and I just now saw it. Interestingly, there was an awkward interaction of events. Now, I thought this was a person I could trust, and I was wrong. So I wrote, interestingly, awkward. I go, last year I asked Sri Acharyaji if I could speak at the conference, and I was planning on attending physically too. I've never been to Omaha. I even recorded a rough take I was going to talk about. He said yes, but I've never heard back from him or anyone. I wanted a confirmation since I need to book a hotel and airplane from Maine. Not hearing from him, ironically, saved me having to back out of the request. Next, August 7th, my girlfriend and I are flying to Vegas to get married, while in September we are going to New Hampshire, and I'm also in Boston for a weekend. Between spending money for Omaha and the days off from work, and the fact that I would have gotten back last night and have a week to barely unpack, it really seemed best that I not go. But I never heard from Sri Acharyaji. Maybe next year. Fair, right? Honest response. So I got this response back. I find it quite disingenuous that you just so happen to only see my reply immediately after the conference, and also to claim a, quote, awkward interaction of events. No, what the fuck? What type of response is that? And then this person writes, if something was unclear to you, you could have very simply communicated that to Acharyaji or anyone of the conference organizing committee, but knowing that you have direct access to Sri Acharyaji, that would have been more than sufficient. Well, he hadn't responded to any of my emails during the year, okay? And I don't know who the conference committee was. I don't know anyone out there, and disingenuous that I saw an email after the fact that went to my spam folder. I don't check my spam folder but maybe once a month. And awkward? It was awkward. What do you do? So I felt that I was suddenly being attacked for no reason and told bullshit lies. So this person goes on, if you didn't want to come anymore, you could have just said that. It's really not a big deal, but it's courteous to respond and let people know ahead of time. Remember I told you that I wasn't even on the agenda? So she goes, sounds like you have a lot going on, but to not communicate and then claim that no one contacted you when we quite literally sent out emails seems pretty disingenuous. Well, I never got any of those emails. I'm not on the email list. So I wasn't on the agenda, and I didn't get emails, but according to this person, it was disingenuous and not courteous to not respond to people who seem to not know I exist. Then she keeps going, as far as my first message to you is concerned, it actually does not matter because the nature of the subject was pretty significant. Maybe she means insignificant. And it's the only post of mine you've ever commented on and somehow saw. So I'm not sure how you can act like you are completely oblivious to the nature of it. It sounds like it's probably best that you didn't come for both parties. What type of response is that? I didn't see your email. I explained it. I also said there was an on-interaction of events. But yet I'm attacked. And I'm very strange to get this email at 11 o'clock in the morning. Very strange. And I never got any of the emails. Why would I lie? Why would I lie? So then I responded a little bit. So that was sent at noon. I didn't get a response out till 3:41. I really felt I had to defend myself. I quoted her disingenuous comment, and I responded with, you have literally just rearranged events to dump on me when I was completely honest with you. I don't know where this is coming from, so it feels like you have a problem with me, or just straight up hate me. It feels like there's something more going on here. If you hate me, feel free to say it. You're neither the first nor the last, and I'm very open to what you have to say. I have no reason not to me. And then I put my email, my phone number, and my physical address. Oh, and yeah, because I'm willing to communicate, and I never give people my phone number. And I wrote, that's how open I am to hearing what's on your mind, as there seems to be a lot of energy here. The reason I say that you friended me out of the blue, I'd never heard your name before, and then unfriended me, and then emailed me a few times. When I didn't see the text, now suddenly you're upset at me, even though the text went into the spam mail box on Facebook. So I don't understand what's going on. I'm not claiming that I didn't see your text because it actually went into the spam mail. What evidence is there that I'm hiding from you or anyone? And why would I lie? Why not just respond to your text in the beginning? What's to lie about? Clearly, you had a question about a post I made. I can't see the post since I'm not your friend and I don't remember it, so I can't refer to it. You unfriended me. This morning, I happened to look in the spam mail and was shocked to see you communicated with me. You must have thought I was blowing you off, but I didn't. I only check the spam mail about once a month. I think my explanation holds up because this is how Facebook works. But if I was avoiding you to play devil's advocate, why give an explanation of missing a conference and all this other stuff? Why not just keep avoiding you and not respond to you? Well, why not say anything at all? Why would I now answer your question late if I'm avoiding you? So I don't pretend or claim or do anything but be honest, and I have no bad feelings for you. Clearly, you are reaching out to me and felt I hadn't responded and have issues with me. Then I quote her, if something was unclear to you, could have simply communicated to that of the committee. And I go, no, nothing was unclear. This is a misinterpretation on your part. First, I don't know who the conference committee is. I don't know any of you out there. I don't know who to communicate with. You're the only person who's ever talked to me. I'm not on Discord. I don't know anyone. I didn't even know there was a committee until you mentioned it. It was last summer that I wrote to Sri Acharyaji asking that I wanted to share. Months later, over Zoom, he said yes, and he'd get in touch with me and maybe even help me find accommodations. That was the last time I spoke to him before the interview I did with him. I've not heard back about that. I've never heard anything about the conference. I never got any emails. Nobody ever reached out. There was an announcement on Facebook, I believe, that they were organizing the schedule, but that was it. Then the schedule went out, and I was not on it. Then I got an email about call-in times for the day of the conference. Those are the only 2 emails I have received. There's nothing unclear about this. To me, it looks like a couple things could have happened. One, I was left out deliberately. It seems unlikely, but maybe. Maybe someone got pissed off, like you seem to be, and I am no longer welcomed. And you hoped I was ignored and walked away, and we never spoke again. 2, Sri Acharyaji never told anyone to invite me, so nobody knew in the first place, and then he forgot. Because we haven't talked, I haven't reminded him. But seeing that my name is off the schedule, I don't know which of these is true. But something happened. Either I was dropped, or someone dropped the ball. So, do I reach out to Sri Acharyaji and ask him to recreate a new schedule and say I wasn't on it, and then have him send out that new schedule to everybody? That's actually kind of rude. And that's also implying he messed up. Should I have done that? Should I have called him out? That probably would have made an enemy of him before I even went and made things uncomfortable. I didn't feel that was proper. Should I have reached out and asked why I wasn't on the schedule? And should I have then said I couldn't come at all because there was now a money crisis and holiday crisis, which didn't exist when I asked to be on the schedule? That would just create a hassle. If I was on the schedule, I would have made it work. I would have gone even though I had other events. So I read this as they were either avoiding me, or he was avoiding me, or something had happened, and it was better if I didn't stir the pot. If they wanted me to go away, it was better that I stay silent. I felt that was preferable. And if that wasn't the case, then me speaking up would show that Sri Acharyaji dropped the ball and would create an enemy. I didn't want to do that. I think too highly of him. Do I want to call out to say that he messed up and isn't organized and forgot about me? That just makes me and everybody uncomfortable. Also, I don't know how he organizes things. Maybe he's always waited to the last minute and people have spent a lot of money on plane tickets. I don't know how his timeline works. I don't know how organized he is. So, On one hand, things were unclear, and I didn't know what to do, but I felt like I couldn't reach out to anybody without hurting somebody and becoming a hassle. I also then thought that maybe he just forgot about me because he also forgot to reach out when it came to Spotify. That seems the likely scenario, but I don't know. I don't know him. You do. If there is a failure in communication, I do not believe it's on my side. So yes, I do have direct access, but I didn't know what to do without being rude. And then it got to be too late to really make engagements. And since I was forgotten about, it just seemed convenient to stay forgotten about. I'm sorry if that has put you in a bind, but I really didn't see your email, and I haven't been out to hurt anybody. There are some things in this text that I am choosing not to read. She writes, it's not a big deal. It's courteous to respond and let people know ahead of time. So I go, you're 100% right. But isn't it also courteous to let someone know if they're no longer going to be a part of the activity? Isn't it courteous to reach out to someone over 8 months and see what their schedule is, knowing that they have to come in from out of town? Had I been on the schedule, I would have honored that. You're saying it is not courteous of me to let them know I was backing out, even though they seem to have no courtesy in including me in the schedule. Nobody has contacted me. No emails were ever sent. And I would dare you to find a list of emails that were sent related to the conference and show how many of them were sent to me. I will go through my junk mail and find some too. The way you spoke, it's as if emails were going out to participants all the time. I never got any. But please let me know if they were sent and they just failed to reach me. This talks about the comment that I don't respond to. Let's see. I comment on the misunderstanding of this post, which was just, she was so dismissive of me. Anyways, so I write, I don't like people lying about me, and you opened your private message to me accusing me of lying. So yes, that's why you got a long response. But it seems there's also a lot of confusion, and you're not seeing what I'm seeing. You understand how Sri Acharyaji and the ISDS works. I do not. I don't think I can be blamed for wanting to walk hesitantly and not hurt anybody. So I got back this response. Wow, Aaron, I really wish I had much spare time as you do to write out extensive messages and to read such a storybook. I think you might consider seeking out psychiatric help. Take care of yourself. Well, okay, maybe the message was long. I actually sent it without editing it, which I should have done. I forgot to. But storybook, it was all 100% true. There's no storybook here. And as for psychiatric help, so I should seek psychiatric help for what? For telling the truth? For explaining to someone the situation that I didn't want to hurt people? I should see psychiatric help. So I should have barged in the ISDS demanding that they put me on the schedule and have them release an edited schedule then to everybody? What? So you come to me and you're lying about me out the door, about missing emails, and then you accuse me of writing a storybook. You have issues, woman. So then I wrote back, well, I did just send the email without editing, but clearly I'm in the right and you're in the wrong, and you just don't want to confess that. It's fine. And I really think your first statement to me is somewhat insulting, and the fact that you couldn't even be bothered to respond is iffy. So then she goes, yes, that's right. I confess I am wrong and you were right, clearly being sarcastic. So I go, don't worry, I won't be showing up in Omaha anytime soon. You can make sure of that. Now you're just being crass. So she goes, excellent. I don't like that you go behind Sri Acharya's back on Discord and badmouth him. And then you pretend to be all innocent and go through all of the above mental gymnastics in order to justify yourself. Now, I've been sitting here for an hour and a half. Have I told you anything about going on Discord and bad-mouthing him? No, because I don't have a Discord account. I did forget to say that at one point in 2019, I got on Discord for 1 week. The first comment I saw on this community that he says is this amazing community was how Freemasons are all evil, horrible people, and they would never be a member of ISDS. This was not from him. This was from somebody. And I looked at that and went, wow, so many conspiracy theorists here who don't know what they're talking about. And I just never said anything. I made one comment that said I was reading the Upanishads and some woman asked if she could have a copy because she can't find them. And I sent her the digital copy I had. And that was it. Never got on again. I don't do Discord. I've really never enjoyed it. I don't have time for it. I never said anything bad about him. But according to this woman, I go behind his back on Discord and badmouth him. How do I do that when I don't have a Discord account? And let's be fully honest. If I was going to badmouth him, why not just do it on YouTube? You guys who watch me know I'm pretty honest and I say a lot of things that get me into hot water. Why not just come out and say, like I'm doing right now? I don't hide. I'm really not good about hiding. I'm surprised I haven't gotten myself in trouble. And then mental gymnastics to pretend I'm innocent and justify myself. What is she even talking about? So I wrote this long email about missing the ISDS conference, and I get back some comment about going behind his back on Discord. Those are two completely different topics. And then justify, what is she talking about? And that was, this text coming through really was like, okay, something's going on here. So then I got the comment, it's great that you didn't come. Please stay away from Acharyaji and all the innocent people with the ISDS. That's right. I was banned from the innocent people of the ISDS who I am doing things to. What am I doing to them? I haven't badmouthed them. I didn't communicate with them because I didn't want to embarrass anybody. Something messed up with the conference. But I've now been banned. So then this person writes, I only unblocked you on Facebook to delete this chat because you were being a nuisance with all your nonsense. Clearly it was a mistake with me to do that. I should have kept you blocked. So you write me a text on Facebook. It goes to my spam. I explain that it went to my spam and I wasn't ignoring you. That's nonsense. And then this Discord stuff. What are you talking about, woman? I was so shocked getting this. I was at work, and I'm just like, what the fuck is this conversation? Where did it go? Suddenly I'm being called out for avoiding people and being rude by not talking about a conference. The next thing I know, I'm bad-mouthing them on Discord, which I haven't been on for 1 week, and I didn't say a thing. Because I didn't think in 2019 it was proper to badmouth my guru, and I didn't have any issues with him. What are you talking about? So then I respond. I responded late to emails with honest responses. You have now demonized me by making up what was really happening without any evidence or reasoning. You then demonized me for not being courteous. I explained to you that I was in an odd situation and to call someone out would have put Acharyaji in an uncomfortable spot, likely calling out a problem or maybe some mismanagement or forgetfulness, only to point out a problem just to say I couldn't be a part of something. I decided not to say anything to not put him in a bind or embarrass anyone. I overly explained it with a long text to you, and I get back that I need therapy. I didn't go so low and insult you. Should I have said anything about you and your needing of therapy? No. That would have been unjustified. I just pointed out an error in your judgment with as much honesty as ever, but you respond that I need therapy? Why? For being honest? For not putting Acharyaji in an uncomfortable spot? According to you, yes, I should have done that. While you made the stunningly bad logical comment that I have so much free time now to write a storybook, but yet had said I was so busy. One storybook implies that I made things up. I didn't make anything up. While being able to shoot an email over lunch or in between my work is part of the perks of my job. While I'm not so busy, having the time right now to give you an honest answer, I felt was important. And not a storybook. And this day does not reflect any other time where I'm busy or can't do things or whatever. I was dealing with my brother-in-law, as I mentioned. It is a bad fallacy to attack me again to try to prove I'm lying, when you have no grounds for that. Here is how you prove what I said as a storybook. Ask the coordinator of the event about my involvement and why I wasn't involved. Not Sri Acharyaji, but the committee, whoever is in it. Ask what emails were sent to me, and why no one called, texted, or Facebooked me. Ask if they even know who I am. That will clearly prove there was a miscommunication. Deflecting and continuously telling me I'm lying without evidence, well, I'm not going to say you need therapy, but really you should just be honest. What have I done to you? I have not had a reaction to someone. I have not caused a reaction in someone this strong in years. You must really hate me, but I don't understand why. But yet I need therapy because you disagree with my choices and you are convinced I am lying without any reason of why I am lying. And then she writes, please leave me alone. And so then I wrote, I'm not on Discord. I've never done that. And she goes back, I'm currently at work. Please leave me alone. Well, I didn't know you were at work. You never said it before. So whatever. And then I say, well, I was off the clock as of 9 minutes ago. And then I say, fine, but I'm not on Discord. What are you talking about? At least be honest, because you are accusing me of things I don't appreciate. Or you just have the wrong person. And she goes, everything you're saying is just justifying why I never trusted you from the moment I learned about you. What the fuck is this woman on? She's accused me of lying. I've defended myself, overly defended myself, and yet justifying what? What is going on with this woman? And she won't even give any evidence. So then I go, show me that I'm on Discord. Give me the proof. Show me I'm not on Discord. I would know if I was. And she goes, leave me alone, psycho. I don't have to screenshot anything. So she doesn't need evidence to prove that I'm doing something. And I go, you have the wrong person. That's fine. And she goes, I don't go around cataloging everything I disagree with on the internet so that I can later show it as proof to anyone. You're a liar and a psycho. Leave me the fuck alone. You're demonic. I hope you have the day you deserve. I've never emailed you once, so I don't know why you keep alluding to me sending you emails. I'm demonic? Did I insult her? Did I insult her then say she was a liar? I don't think so. So I go, I didn't say you emailed me. It was about the organizing committee emailing me. You also wrote we, so I made an assumption that that committee may have included you. And then she goes, anyone who has this much time to harass someone and send book-long messages denying and deflecting and twisting and manipulating the truth is seriously psychologically impaired. Show me once where I lied. And I go, I haven't done any of the above. I'm not even harassing you. You keep saying I'm lying and on Discord, and I'm not. It's fine. You have mistaken me for someone else. It's fine. We came to the solution. Problem solved. That's all I wanted. You have the wrong person. And she writes, well, you're still typing after I've asked you to leave me alone. That's harassment, and you're a liar. Well, maybe it is harassment, but if you keep texting me back, it's hard to prove that I'm the cause. So then finally I go, technically, you kept the conversation going, so really not harassing someone when they keep communicating. And she goes, the fuck I did. And then I blocked her because I was just wasting my time. So I'm sorry I read all that. That was absolutely boring and horrible, but I did say coming into today's episode I was going to share everything. So there's a few things I left out of this massive email, which I've kept if anyone wants to see it in the future. But basically, I was called out for not showing up and not responding to an email that was in my spam. Called out in a really weird way, very quickly, lots of animosity, and then suddenly accused of bad-mouthing him on Discord when I don't even have a Discord login. I'm not even on Discord. I'm like, what the hell? And then I'm told I can't deal with him or anyone else. someone needs psychological help, and it's not me. Yes, as I said, maybe you can accuse me of going extra long and wordy. Anyone who watches this show knows I talk a lot. And yes, I accused her of lying, but then I explained myself. And I don't think I was being mean. A bit harsh because I'd been attacked, but I don't think I was being mean. But then she just lit into me. I'm demonic. I need help. I'm a psycho. Why? When I ask for evidence, you can't show me evidence because you don't screenshot stuff. But you're clearly lying about me because I've never been on Discord. So I took all these emails and I sent it to Sri Acharyaji, as I said. I said, we got a problem. Never heard from him again. This was July, almost a year ago. This is really weird that this person was saying these things about me. And I'm not naming who this person is. There is some people I have spoken to in the ISDS, former members, and I've told them about this, and they know who she is, and they know who this person is. But for the sake of most of you, I'm not sharing it because it's rather trivial. But I was worried that this person, who does have a pivotal role in the organization, was saying things about me, going around saying I'm demonic and I'm this and I'm that. And that worried me. And I was actually thinking about getting a lawyer if I saw any change in my book sales and my YouTube or something. I was thinking about getting a lawyer and going after this person for defamation, telling people I'm this and I'm this and I'm this, and refusing to provide evidence. You know, it's one thing if you say, I saw you on Discord, but when I ask to see the screenshot and you won't give them to me, and you can't prove it, and you call me demonic without any justification, I have a case for slander. And if you keep telling about people, that would have given me a case. And yes, this is a woman who doesn't have a lot of money. I would have probably destroyed her economically, but I would have done it because I've worked too hard to throw everything away due to some psychopath who seems to hate me but can't explain it. And accuses me of things I'm not doing, which I really don't like. You know, as I said earlier, accuse me of things I am doing. Don't make up shit about me. If you think I said something on a YouTube channel, fine, but don't make up, oh, you're on Discord when I'm not. Or at least screenshot it so I can see. Oh, I never saw any change. I never saw anything happen on my YouTube. Actually, my YouTube grew, and I changed it, did the facelift some months after this. So if she did say anything to people, nothing happened. So I never pursued a lawsuit. And I'm not going to at this point because I've learned so much more. So this was July, and I think at that point I was kind of done. I'd been officially told not to come to Omaha or have anything to do with the innocent ISDS members. Interesting, at this same time, there was the Exodus happening, and I'm going to be talking about the Exodus. We still have much more to say. But there was an Exodus happening at the same time, and the ISDS was falling apart. It wasn't as innocent as she thinks. And her name has come up so many times in conversations. People know this person. She's not been a helpful person because she treats people like this. I'm holding back some details deliberately because this is a person who needs help. But she went into some fine line here where I could have gotten a lawsuit. You know, when you slander someone and you can't prove it. No, when you say bad things about someone and you can't prove it, and they have proven that you might be wrong, you have a case here. This is also why this episode is going so long. So when I say I don't like the book, it needs an editor, I then turn to page 16, where it needed an editor. I gave you demonstrated things. This is partly why I'm making this long. Anyways, July 2025, I think I was basically done with Sri Acharyaji. I think I'd not like the books anymore. I had this interaction. I wasn't happy with the way the conference went and how that fell apart. Something was going on. He wasn't well organized. I wasn't feeling it from his videos. And he'd also gotten way more political. And while, yes, I get political on this channel, but I also have since day one, and then I switched the channel to a political focus now. with a little bit of religion. But I think this was the end for me. And if this is your representative, and your representative needs help, I think I was done with him. I think mentally I was done with him. I was pulling back. Even if you're not consciously doing it, you know what I mean? You're pulling back just the same. So nothing happened between July and January. I just didn't watch his videos. I didn't pay that much attention to him. I was going through a psychological crisis with the Ramayana where I really was thinking about becoming an atheist. I was like, I'm done. And life was changing, and I'd gotten married, and that's had a profound effect on my life. And we've been dealing with this brother-in-law, which just put everything into the gutter. So I wasn't really thinking about him that much. And then January came, and this guy I knew on Facebook posted a link about Sri Acharyaji to an article on Substack. And I read this article, and I went, what the fuck? And then I put a comment on this person's Facebook page about, wow, this is really interesting, because I'd had issues. And then I was invited to a Discord server. I'm going to mention that server in a minute because it was the topic of a discussion about Sri Acharyaji. There was only like 14 of us on it. And I learned so much. I learned so much about Sri Acharyaji, and I learned about what had happened to me and everything. And this is why you're all here. I know this is the big reveal. So there was an article written on Substack, and you can find it. I probably will put a link to it down below, or I'll put a link to the site, because now there is 5 articles by a guy named Felix, and I believe he's looking at doing his own YouTube presentation. He was involved in the ISDS. He moved out. A bunch of people got on Discord and started a server. I signed up for Discord just to be on the server with ex-followers of Sri Dharma Acharya, and I will talk about this server in a second. I'm trying to put this stuff into words. What happened? It was a crazy January. My computer died. My cat was dying. We had to put her down, which was traumatic, and it still is for us. The family situation turned into just death. My job was... I almost quit my job at one point. Actually, I asked my boss if I should quit. That's how close I was to quitting. It was very stressful New Year's for me. Absolutely horrible. And then suddenly I realized in the same week, like days before we're putting our cat down, who was our baby, she's not geriatric, she's a baby, I find out that my guru is something that I didn't think. And all these thoughts came flooding into me as I'm reading that article, and then later there was another one that came out by Felix, and it just blew my mind. And I get on this Discord forum, and I'm talking to people who know me. They know who I am. One of them was in the room when I did the interview with Sri Acharyaji, and start revealing things to me about stuff that had happened. And it was a crazy January. So I'm now going to read part of this Substack article by Felix that I found in January that blew my world apart and got me invited to this Discord server. And then I will comment some more, and then I'll read another article, which then sort of brings us to the present day. So I mentioned at the very beginning of today's show that this show is about me. It's about my experiences and my opinions and what I went through. Ironically, at the same time, there was an exodus happening from the ISDS by others that I didn't know. I still don't know them. And they have different concerns than I do. So this show represents me. We're now going to get into those concerns by others. And I can't put into words how profound this article was to me and how it threw me for a loop. And then I learned so much that I'll detail in a second. And it's like my world just sort of fell apart. So as I said, I'm not reading all of it. I've blacklined it. Not blacklined it, redacted part of this. I encourage you to go on Felix's Substack. Read it for yourself. I'm only going to read the parts that are relevant to what we're talking about today and my experiences. There's some of his opinions and things here that I am leaving out, but please go on and support Felix on his Substack. It's free. You can read it. So the name of this article is DharmaNation, the Golden Age Paradox, a critical look at Sri Dharma Pravartarka Acharya, aka Frank Morales. And jumping into it, Felix goes, until a few months ago, internal tensions were unfolding within the ISDS. I will not go into detail about their activities. Instead, I will focus on a message that they have promoted for many years, mainly by the Guru Sri Acharya. This message is supposedly based on a Vedic revelation and postulates that we will be entering a golden age in 2025. Interestingly, however, according to Frank, because he calls him Frank here, we already entered a golden age in 2017. Several members departed from the organization around September 2025, after which Frank held an emergency meeting on the ISDS server. This meeting was meant to address what he described... Yes, okay. This meeting, sorry, I thought I had the wrong article. This meeting was meant to address what he described as a coordinated attack against him and the organization. I might be writing a separate article that addresses only the public spectacle that followed, including the comments made about departing members and how such behavior is not how a guru conducts himself. Simply put, when a disciple leaves, a guru does not hold a public spectacle, engage in sarcasm, or publicly ridicule his ex-devotees. I mainly left because of accumulated inconsistencies, unanswered doubts, and unresolved questions. This meeting was simply the final nail in the coffin. Everything had been building up over a long period of time. Eventually, I realized that I had been lying to myself, which is what I'd been doing too. Below is a list of issues that contributed to my decision. Readers are encouraged to verify these points independently. Unverified Sampradaya claims. The ISDS's organization website states that Frank received initiation within a particular lineage. However, I've been unable to find publicly available, independent confirmation of these claims. To my knowledge, no verifiable documentation or acknowledgement from the institution or said teachers cited have been made publicly accessible. Next point, married to a disciple. According to the Gaudiya Vaishnava standards articulated in Shastra and explained extensively by Srila Prabhupada, a guru marrying a disciple was considered a breach of traditional Vedic conduct. From that doctrinal perspective, this behavior does not align with established Vaishnava norms. Sri Acharyaji has, I believe, an ex-wife, a current wife, much younger than him, and 2 kids. That is a fact if you meet him in your house. You're gonna know that or whatever. So when you hear a baby crying in the background of his videos, that's his. I'm assuming that's his, because I don't know why anyone else would bring a baby to a long talk. Next point, teaching soulmates as scriptural fact. The claim that he has given that soulmates are described in many places in the Vedic scriptures is simply not supported. He mentions this in many videos, but never mentions any verses. Additional fact, public commentary on departing members. During the emergency meeting, the departure of members was discussed publicly, including commentary on their behavior. In my understanding of the Vaishnava standards, such matters are traditionally handled with greater restraint and discretion. Next point, dharmic movie lists. Certain movies are recommended and have been posted in a hidden members-only Discord channel. Unfortunately, I cannot easily prove this without a screenshot. Next point, the Lord of the Rings issue. Frank once gave a 1-hour talk on the Lord of the Rings. He is also writing a book about it. Is this really befitting of a guru? And no, Shaiva Dharma is not the same thing. Next point, political obsession. Endless political commentary and associations with figures like Alex Jones. He hosts talks for political organizations, speaks out about Charlie Kirk and the UK, speculates about elections, and the list goes on. Frank has also written some political articles. Next point, lack of Shastric grounding. Vedic scripture is rarely quoted by him. Live streams may include several verses during an hour-long talk, but in other lectures, Shastra is absent. Compare Srila Prabhupada, who quoted Shastra extensively. And I will add to this, we often are told by Sri Acharya that something is Vedic, but he doesn't quote from it. And I began... Okay, I'll hold off on that comment for a second. Next point. Perceived cultivation of personal authority. In my assessment, the presentation style and repeated claims of exceptional status suggest a strong emphasis on personal authority, which I personally find inconsistent with the humility traditionally expected of a Vaishnava teacher. All right. While archiving URLs from the DharmaNation.com, I decided to explore older versions of the site. One version from 2016 to 2017 contained many interesting claims, enough to warrant this article, which is why I called it the Golden Age Paradox. Longtime followers of Frank are familiar with the repeated promise of a coming Golden Age. We're told that 2025 will mark rapid growth for the organization. Complete opposite. Followed by an even greater expansion in 2026. However, the same rhetoric can be found nearly a decade ago using almost the same language. Sri Acharyaji has been predicting for many years the Golden Age. Frank previously stated that the Golden Age would begin in 2017. While the original video is no longer available, archived promotional material and secondary transcripts indicate that this claim was publicly made. Similar language and expectations of a Golden Age have reappeared in subsequent years, including 2023, 24, and 25. There is a reoccurring pattern of Golden Age predictions. And then he posts a bunch of links to this to verify. And then he goes on and has a list of requested donations. I won't read all of it, but there is a point on the website, and this drove me crazy too. Acharya wanted $2,300 for an Apple MacBook Pro, $180 for a G-Tech 3 TB external drive, $500+ for an LG Ultrafine 4K monitor, $300 for Final Cut Pro X, $300 for LED video lighting kit, and $100 for a brother printer drum unit. Okay, I'm going to pause here. Remember, so I think the scriptures might be wrong. If you read them, you may recall that they say that you should give yourself to a guru and just be with that guru and give them everything, treat them as God. But remember, those scriptures were written when the guru lived next to the river in his underwear and begged for food and owned nothing. I think there is a huge difference between giving yourself to a guru who lives in a shack versus a guru who says, I need $3,000 for an Apple MacBook because, quite honestly, I'm too good for just your average Windows, so give me the most expensive computer I can, and I really need this ultra-fine monitor because another one won't work, and I need all this stuff like Final Pro X, even though technically you can edit videos on YouTube, and my videos aren't really that spectacular as it is, so all I need is YouTube. But please, give me lots of money so I can have better stuff than you. I don't think this is what the Bhagavad Gita said or meant when it said give yourself to a guru. I think we're no longer at this point. I think the scriptures, maybe they weren't wrong, but they were for a time and place which is no longer relevant. Giving yourself to a guru on a beach versus saying, here's $3,000 so you can buy better technology than I can, so you can do crap with it because you don't know what you're doing, or you can format a book even though the person who doesn't know how to format a book because they've never done the basics of editing and they know nothing, and you can't stand anyone saying no to you. Yeah, I don't think we're in a position where we can be giving stuff, where we need to be bowing down to gurus like the scripture says. I think it's bullshit. And also the scripture says a bona fide teacher. Bona fide. very few bona fide teachers. And I really wonder, with the things said about Sri Acharyaji, if this is a bona fide teacher who I'm going to give everything to. But yeah, I saw this list of like, wow, you need better technology than I do, and I make more videos than you do. And I write more books, but you want the best of the best. Wow. It really hurt me when I saw this list. So, going back to Felix's article, he writes, while there's nothing inherently wrong with asking for donations, true, this is, at least, a questionable list. And I agree with him. Then he quotes some more videos. Then he says, I just wanted to give a few thoughts about 2017. Even if it may not seem like it, 2017 is the beginning of the Golden Age. To most people, a year seems long, but in terms of ages, 1 year is just a blink of an eye in an era that will last 10,000 years. I think that might be a transcript. Yes, that's paraphrased from Sri Acharyaji. So then Felix says, there are two possible paths. The forces of evil either surrender, allowing a peaceful golden age, or they... No, I'm sorry. This is still a quote from Sri Acharyaji. So Sri Acharyaji said, there are two possible paths. The forces of evil either surrender, allowing a peaceful golden age, or they resist, causing conflict, but ultimately good will win. 2017 may still seem chaotic or even violent, but that does not change the larger transformation that is underway. We are entering a time when our understanding of good, evil, and reality itself will be challenged. Even those spiritually and intellectually advanced will be surprised, as what we thought was reality may be revealed as an illusion. So this is the beginning of the Golden Age. Let's hope it's a good beginning. That is from 2016. Yet, there was 2 videos done, one in 2025 and one in 2024, titled Welcoming the Golden Age, and the other is Solar Eclipse Protection Yajna. How many Golden Ages are there? So it started again? Yeah. So Felix writes, if I am wrong, I welcome corrections. The transcript could in theory be fabricated, and I am merely pointing to data on the internet. The article and promotional material stating that the Golden Age began in 2017 seems to have existed. If Frank claims that the transcript from the video is fake, he can simply release the original video, if it still exists. But I have a feeling that won't happen. In the end of the day, it doesn't matter, because the Vedic scriptures do not say there will be a golden age. Many people misquote Srila Prabhupada. The so-called golden age is not about devas descending to rescue humanity. The teaching is clear. There is a 10,000-year period in the Kali Yuga that allows for the chanting of the holy name. That is the message of the great Acharyas. This article reflects my personal experiences, interpretations, and doctrinal critiques based on publicly available material and Gadaiva Vaishnava teachings. It is not intended as a legal or factual accusation. Never blindly trust people on the internet. You never know who you are communicating with. And that's the end of Felix's article that I read, and it blew my mind. I didn't know there was an Exodus. And I began looking at this list, and now I've tossed them all on the floor, so maybe I can pick a few of them up and comment on them. It started blowing my mind when I started looking at his list of things, criticisms. I was like, oh my God, wow. I never had an issue with his Sampradaya claims, but certainly being married to a disciple, and one way younger. I don't know how that happened, but yeah, it's odd, but whatever. I do remember Sri Acharyaji talking about soulmates numerous times, but no scriptural evidence of them. But yet everything he says is scriptural. That's his arrogance coming through. Everything he says is scriptural. No, it's not. And if you listen to a lot of his stuff, it's his opinion. And I've seen accusations of him that he really teaches not Hinduism or not Vedic stuff, but like a New Age Christian thing. It's a DIY religion, the thing he hates. That really hit me, the thought Felix made about Srila Prabhupada, who quoted scripture extensively. And you can read any book by him. That is a fact. And Sri Dharma doesn't. He just says it, and you don't argue with him. And I read this article, seeing that others had issues, and these issues are different than mine. supplementing mine, a little bit of overlap. And it really threw me for a loop. And so I commented on my friend's Facebook about this article, and then I got invited to this Discord server with some people who were intimately involved in Omaha. And I started communicating with them on this server. Now, this server started off as a server to just teach a Vedic lifestyle, a brahmachari type life, how to be a brahmachari in the world. And then it turned into a group of ex-ISDS folks. When I was on it, like I said, there was maybe 14 of us. And I stayed on it just a little bit, and I eventually pulled away because what I found was two problems I had with some dominating personalities. They were doing something I criticized in my last or so video. They left Sri Dharma and immediately went to another guru. So rebound relationship. And the guru they went to, great if you want to support someone, but I think they went to an actual someone who I think is completely out of touch with reality and not grounded on the ground at all. I remember seeing a video by this guy a few years ago, and he was asking about the talkies. You know, the talkies? This is a guy who became a monk in the 70s, yet he's referring to movies as though he lived in the 30s and didn't know what a movie was. No, you knew what a movie was. Don't refer to them as talkies. That sounds like you're really trying to be ignorant. And we've had movies for 50 years since you joined. So this guy also has written things about women that I don't like they look forward to their menstrual cycle because it's a day off from work where they can just pamper themselves and watch TV. Have you ever talked to a woman? I don't think they look forward to it. The guy's really out of touch, and he has a cult of personality around him. So I really had some issues with these people on this forum who left Acharyaji because he had a cult of personality, but then joined up with someone who's way more famous with a way bigger cult and who has very questionable ideas. I was like, you guys are just doing a rebound. Good for you, you want to grow, but you need to take time off for yourself. Very dominating, like what I say goes. And they wanted to do a podcast, and I actually at one point said, hey, you can come on my show. One of the rules of my show is we don't hold back. I don't hold back. You say what you want. Oh no, we're going to have lists and we're going to organize it. No, on my show we don't do that. You come on, we do a guest, we talk honestly. I'm not going to script shit. I don't do that here. We talk correctly. We relay our argument with evidence. We make sure we know what we're saying, but I'm not going to create ground rules. You're not taking over my show. And I found out from someone else who has since befriended me on Facebook that this person was on the forum and left because she just wasn't being allowed to speak her ideas. This was a group that was really funny because they don't like Frank's dominating personality, but yet I felt a lot of dominating personality on this forum. So I hung out with it for a month and then I left. It was just like, I'm done. I don't want to be a part of, you guys are creating your own little religion and you're being your own gurus now, which is just this rebound. Once you get over this, then you'll settle into your place. But to leave a dominating personality and then to become a dominating personality, you need some time on your own. So I left. But before I left, I discovered that Sri Acharyaji had seen the YouTube post that I put on the YouTube left-hand channel that I talked about like an hour ago. Remember that? He'd seen those and had then told people, either publicly or one-on-one, but he told more than one person, this is a quote, I was a bad actor and was a person non grata, and that no one was to support me anymore. Wow. Now, I must confess that through a lot of 2025, up until I got that email I read, I was sending him money every month. So he was fine taking my money, maybe not every month, but I'd been sending him money. You know, $10, a little bit, whatever. He took my money, but I was a person non grata. Yeah, maybe you send me a check for what you owe me, figure out when you discovered those comments, and you can send me a check for any money I sent after you, because you took my money, but yet you don't want to support me because I'm a bad actor. Yeah, that's not cool. So he'd been telling people I was the bad player because I said that he was wrong on Christianity and he was being a hypocrite. So he cut me off and I didn't know it. Wow, that boggled my mind. So then this girl who wrote this email to me, I found out who she was. I found out the thing that had been going on. She had it wrong. It wasn't that I was on Discord bad-mouthing him. It was that I had been on YouTube and made a post. Still, I probably would have won a lawsuit if I had, because her thing was Discord and she was lying and she couldn't prove it. You know, you can't then say, oh, well, I meant this. The left-hand channel is gone now, so you can't prove that either. And I wasn't bad-mouthing him. I was saying he was my guru. It just, he had an issue with Christianity. Don't dick on the guy, which is not fair. But that's what that email was about. He had seen my YouTube, didn't like it, cut me off, told her this psycho woman who was off her drugs now suddenly thought I was doing some weird thing, but had her information wrong. I wasn't on Discord. I was on YouTube. I wasn't bad-mouthing him. I was being honest. That was what that was all about. And suddenly it was like, holy shit. Wow. Wow. There was probably more going through my head. I can't remember it now. But I learned a lot about Sri Acharyaji. Remember at the beginning of the show, I mentioned the Asatru thing that he spoke at a conference? One of the people on this Discord server was at that conference. That's how I know about the conference that he spoke at, this First Lands conference or whatever. And as I said, I don't care what you believe, but if you're in a certain position, aligning yourself with certain movements maybe looks bad. So, wow. So this Discord forum really was, like I said, 10 or 14 of us. And only one little section. If you're on Discord, you know what I mean. There's lots of sections. Only one section was really about him and just sharing, well, this happened to me and this happened to me. And, oh, wow, I didn't understand that. And I spent like 4 days reading every message in this forum. And I had my mind blown by things I heard about him and stuff he would say in private, and questions that were brought up in Felix's article, and questions other people had. It just blew my mind. I was like, wow, he is not a humble individual who doesn't take criticism very well. And it hurt me, and I was shocked, and I was blown away. It was all very honest, though. And the rest of the forum was dedicated to all sorts of other things. There was videos of, I remember videos of one guru, a couple gurus that were being put up. One guy was in India actually meeting an ISKCON guru, Bhakti Vikasa Swami, was there meeting him and was putting videos up of seeing him and how he, like the guy, I think Bhakti had actually like come up like 3 feet from him and actually said something to him. So he was posting that. Others were sharing things. I think my cat had died, so I put that up. Most of the forum was really whatever. And there was nothing on it that was hateful. I think every single person on that forum was like, I don't regret being with Frank, because everyone called him Frank. I learned a lot from him. I grew. I went from A to Z. He changed my life, but I have to move on because there's problems and there's questions, and he's disappointed me. And he won't answer the questions, and he won't fix things. And the politics, that seems to be such a strong issue with a lot of people. Like, he just goes on and on about conspiracy theory stuff. Like, really lost in the conspiracy theory world. That was discussed on this forum. There was no discussion of any attack on him, going after him, doing anything. The most was what had happened before I joined the forum is my name had come up. Hey, Aaron Joy did this interview. We know Acharyaji's off. I believe he's off of him. Maybe he'd be willing to host us. And someone on the forum had actually put a comment, maybe it was Felix, had put a comment on my YouTube saying, hey, would you be interested or whatever. I didn't see the comment because, you know, guys know I'm just so busy I don't read them. And a lot of them are hateful and I don't want you guys to bring me down. So I didn't see the comment until after I got on this forum. But they had considered reaching out to me about me doing a show, and then I said, yes, I would. Anyone can come on my show and talk about him. But then they wanted to turn into this regiment and goals, and we had to do that. No. You come on, we talk. That's just the way I do it. I'm not going to script shit. Anyways. And there was no attack on this forum. No group consensus of we got to go after him. No, it was just let's do a talk on YouTube to talk about following a guru who a lot of us like, but has disappointed some of us, but still is a guru, still is teacher, still is really good. There was no militia-like focus of this forum. It wasn't like that at all. It was a discussion forum where days on end would go by and there'd be no talk of Acharyaji at all. Okay? Now, I'm going into this, describing this forum, because I'd like to now read another article from Felix that talks about this forum. So I want to make it very clear what this forum is. It's just a Discord forum. No one is conspiratorially discussing some attack. I mentioned that I would do a video because, as I said at the very, very beginning of today's talk, it is very important for me to share my life. After talking about bad gurus, it's hypocritical for me not to share my situation. And it would be arrogant of me to hide when I care about truth so much. That's it, you know. So, there's nothing on this forum that's bad. I'm not on Discord anymore. I got off. I don't want to have anything to do with it. I did get hooked up with this group that is starting a new streaming service, and they have a Discord thing, but it became so much hatred of MAGA. It just was disgusting, so I got off. I don't know if the streaming service will happen or not. I don't know if I'll be a part of it or not. That's the only other time I've been on Discord. I just find that my time on Discord just never works out very well. I just don't seem to... I don't know. It's just, maybe it's because it's off Facebook or whatever and people are a little more crunchy in their opinions, sort of like if you get on Gab or BitChute, but I just don't have time for that. I don't have time for the big discussions or anything. So my time on Discord has been not good. I've now done it twice this year. I've deleted it. I don't want to do it again. Okay, so anyways, let's go to this other article by Felix that you can read online. And it's titled, The Emergency Meeting, Sri Dharma Pravartarka Acharya's Discord Drama and the Cracks in His Golden Age Vision, From Golden Age Glory to Emergency Meeting Meltdown. Again, I have redacted parts of the article that just aren't relevant to what we're talking about, and I would encourage you to go and read the actual article and find out what I have removed. Actually, quite a lot of this one. So, Felix wrote, in the wake of departures, before I start, I have to mention, yes, people have departed. According to this Discord forum, the ISDS is not thousands and thousands of members, like Sri Dharma says. It's not about to take over the world, not even close. It is a very small group. Yes, 500 views on a YouTube video might exist, but that doesn't mean you have 500 followers. That doesn't mean you have 500 dues-paying members. I think a joke on the forum was, yes, all 5 people in Canada don't support him now. I will say that I have seen the tax return for 1 year of the ISDS, and he is poverty level. I'm not going to say what that is. Poverty level for me might mean something different now than then, and what you think, but he's not a millionaire living in some rich mansion. He's not Osho driving Rolls Royces, which is one reason why I never had a problem giving him money, even after I had issues, because the amount of money he made is what I used to make, and he has a kid and a wife, and she works, and, I don't want anyone to suffer, so I was always happy to give him money, but he is not a rich, wealthy man with thousands and thousands of followers, okay? This is, in actuality, a fairly small group. As for when people are leaving, yeah, it's a lot. If you go to photos on the Facebook page, you'll find photos of the ISDS group, and there's like a dozen of them. And if you can find the photos of backstage at the conference, really in the house, because it's all in his house. There's photos from the kitchen looking into the living room, and there's a dozen or so people, maybe 20 or so. We're not talking a big organization. So when a lot leave, it does have an impact. I'm just telling you what I've heard and what I've seen in photos. Let me take a drink. My voice is getting a little rough here. I haven't done a long show like this in so long. I appreciate any of you who are hanging out with me, and if you're watching live right now, I will go back and put chapters in so it's easier to digest. So here's the article from Felix. In the wake of departures from the Independent Sampradaya Deviation Scheme, ISDS, Frank convened what he described as a special assembly on Discord. This nearly 3-hour emergency meeting held around September 2025 was ostensibly to address the very unfortunate occurrence of several members leaving under mysterious circumstances. Frank used the session to defend his leadership, accuse the departed of conspiracy, and rally the remaining faithful. However, the speech reveals deep inconsistencies, a departure from orthodox Vaishnava etiquette, and a leadership style that undermines his lofty claims. This article draws from recording of the meeting obtained through community sources. So Frank, if you're listening, you got 'em all. You got 'em all. Frank positions himself as the vanguard of a golden age, where he claims the ISDS will lead a 10,000-year revival of Sanatana Dharma. He invokes ancient prophecies and his own realizations to assert this, often framing his role as divinely ordained, yet hosting an urgent Discord call to address internal defections triggered by philosophical doubts about his dual initiations, Sampradaya affiliations, and teachings, exposes a contradiction. If he is the enlightened Acharya, ushering in a golden age, why the need for a reactive online crisis session? In the first 10 to 15 minutes of the recording, Frank warns of a coordinated attack by ex-members, that's me, framing the meeting as a defense of the ISDS's integrity. This reactive posture clashes with Vedic etiquette, where a guru maintains equanimity. Instead of introspection, Frank shifts blame, suggesting the departures stem from secrecy and dishonesty. Ironically, in a closed Discord group mirroring the secret server he criticizes. So let's clarify what this says. So he's not humble. This man is not humble. So he blames people instead of looking at maybe he's the cause of it. And he suggests that their departures stem from secrecy and dishonesty when, well, that's not quite true. And he does all this in a closed Discord server while criticizing people being in a closed Discord server. Oh, okay. So throughout the recorded speech, Frank resorts to personal attacks on the departed members. I wonder if I'm one of them. Emphasizing their recent entry into Sanatana Dharma and past lifestyles to discredit them. I gotta pause here. Frank is not a cult leader, but this is a trait of cult leaders. Always blame the person who leaves and always bring them down. So Frank, don't act like a cult leader. Okay, continuing the article. Oh, also, in a cult, the guru is always right. So if you're always right, Frank, then you're acting like a cult leader. For your sake, don't do it. Okay, keep going. Late in the recording, around the 2-hour mark, during discussions of epistemology and vows, he repeats the claims that these people who 3 years ago were eating beef, and he portrays them as spiritual novices unworthy of philosophical critique. Oh my God, how arrogant can you get? He further singles out one individual, noting that in their last conversation a few months prior, he was literally on a fishing trawler. These remarks frame the ex-members as impure or hypocritical, implying their doubts stem from moral inferiority rather than legitimate concerns. Frank, that is Cult Leader Talk 101. Okay. Continuing to read, this approach starkly contrasts orthodox Vaishnava principles where a guru focuses on uplifting devotees rather than shaming their past. In the Bhagavad Gita, Srila Prabhupada emphasized redemption and Krishna's mercy for sincere seekers regardless of prior sins. Frank's shaming tactic not only risks Vaishnava aparada, but undermines his role as a compassionate Acharya. If his movement welcomes newcomers, why weaponize their pre-conversion lives? This defensiveness further erodes trust in him, suggesting an insecurity in him when addressing substantive issues on merit alone. Frank's speech revolves around defending his multi-sampradaya initiations, refuting fraudulent issues and accusing leaders of a circular firing squad in a hidden server on Discord. He claims they sow doubts without consulting him, labeling it as dishonest and cult-like. So I'm going to stop here and saying, no, it's not cult-like, not in the least. Frank, if you don't know anything about cults, shut up. This is not cult-like. I've talked so extensively on cults. It is not cult-like. Also, fraudulent issues. You mean marrying your devotee twice? As for circular firing squad and a hidden Discord server, remember, I described the server to you before reading these articles. And I clearly said it wasn't like that. That's not what we were doing in the server. It might have changed. It's now been 5 months since I left. Well, 4 months, actually. But I doubt it. I doubt it. And I also want to make note, one thing I haven't criticized is the ISDS as a group throughout this talk. Now, I haven't talked about them. I've only talked about Sri Acharyaji, one person who emailed me, and a couple people on the server who kind of pushed me off the server. I have never done anything with the ISDS, if you notice that. I don't have any real problems with them. Oh, and there was that person who said they didn't like Freemasons. So I think the ISDS is full of a lot of good people. The few hundred of them who are on the Discord, I think, are generally good seekers. They're caring, spiritual seekers. They think they found a good guru. I wish them the best. I have no problems with them. They're not a cult. They have issues. But as I said at the beginning of this, Frank is always right. And I heard from somebody who had an issue with Frank. This person said they brought it up to Frank, and he just dismissed them because he's always right. So he accuses them of sowing doubts without consulting him. But according to one person I spoke to, when they did consult him, they were dismissed. So that's him being dishonest. I've not heard this recording. I don't know if my name ever gets brought up or not. I mean, it'd be nice to think that I'm remembered. The article then talks a little more, skipping ahead. Frank's manner lacks Vedic humility. The quote from Frank is, "These people quite literally lied." Srila Prabhupada critiqued deviations with scriptural quotes, not emotional jabs. Like Frank giving a hive mind Borg reference midpoint through the recording. I do have to say that I have issues with Srila Prabhupada. I've been very open about them. It's lost me views on this channel. But the guy quoted scripture. He walked his talk. And yes, sometimes I think he called out rascals where there wasn't some. And yes, sometimes he was a little emotional, but he was very in control more often than not. And he listened to people and he had discussions more often than not. I'd say most of the time. Usually he would call out people when he was kind of being bludgeoned with something and someone wasn't listening to him. If you read his dialogues, I've read many of them. And he used quotes. He didn't just say something was Vedic because he felt it. So I give him credit. And I do appreciate how Felix, who is I don't know if he's ISKCON or whatever, or definitely is making this comparison between the two. I think that really helps too, and saying, hey, look, this is what Srila Prabhupada does. Who Frank adores. Is Frank's behavior even close to that? I like Felix's approach here. So he continues, he goes, Frank's tone is accusatory and lengthy, turning into rants. Just like the Radical Universalism book. He name drops without specifics, such as a person in the UK. Vedic etiquette demands sattvic speech, truthful, gentle, and beneficial. Prabhupada's lectures were concise and Krishna's center. Frank's meander into politics, defending overt Trumpism as personal, and he goes into predictions, and he blends secular with spiritual. This emergency assembly, far from unifying, exposes Frank's golden age vision as precarious. It exposes internal strife, handled via discord, plus contradicts his DharmaCentral.com claims of leading a global revival. If Frank's ISDS crumbles over doubts he dismisses as lies, how can it spearhead the future Dharma? Now, I don't know if he's had another emergency meeting. If he has, Felix hasn't written about it. But definitely after reading that article, Frank, shut up, step back, take some time off. So after that article, I actually wrote to Sri Acharyaji. I said, I don't know if you've seen the Substack article, but you should read it. There's some really strong concerns here, and you're losing your group. And I can verify this. If you go on his YouTube, you'll see that the title cards have changed. They now show his face, which is a horrible thing because they show him with this smug, stern look versus other gurus who are smiling and happy. But someone read on YouTube that you should put your face on your YouTube pics, but only if your face is well known. His isn't. So find someone who actually knows YouTube, like someone who actually knows book publishing. Anyways, things have changed. You can also see if you go back over the past year, most of his videos have not hit 1,000 views, but previous to that, the videos all do really well. Starting mid last year, there's a definite decline in viewership of his videos. Anyways, I wrote a letter to him. I don't have a copy of it here. It was very personal. It said, you need to get a grip. I fear for you. Your thing is crumbling, and it would take a little bit of humility to fix it. Step back, I recommend it. Take a break. Say you have an illness. No one will mind. Redo yourself. Give yourself a facelift. Come back stronger. Come back humble. You have a child and a wife to worry about. I'd want to worry about them versus destroying my legacy, particularly when I'm in my 60s and my legacy only has a little bit more to go before I'm not on this earth. I would do that. And I said, you may hate me, but I'm only telling you the truth because I don't think anyone else will. It's time for you to reevaluate. And I wrote to Frank. I said, I apologize for accusing so-and-so of doing something. I didn't know this person, who this person was. I also said, God, what did I say? I forget now. I really do forget. I worked on the email. It wasn't hard, but it was like, I really am sad for you that this is happening. I didn't know this was happening. You need to back up. You need to freeze. Shut up, basically. I did say to him, I will always be your friend if you want a friend. You can email me, text me, anything. And I think I even put my number down again. I will always respond to you, mano to mano. But you are not my guru. I will not refer to you as a guru. And sadly, I do not think, and I actually wrote this, that you will ever reach out to me because I don't believe you can have friends. And that will hurt you. And I copied that email to the lady who crapped all over me. And the next thing I know he read it, because then I was blocked on Facebook by both of them. So I can brag that my guru blocked me on Facebook. That's right, folks. I pissed off my guru. Actually, I wrote him 2 letters. Matter of fact, I wrote him 2. And he blocked me on the second one. I think the first one was just like, you need to read this article. And then the second one was like, no, I care enough. So whatever. But yeah, he blocked me on Facebook. That was the end of that. And then soon after, I got off the forum. Had a friend write an email to me recently, an acquaintance of mine, wrote and said, are you sad over Sri Acharyaji? It's now been a few months. And I told him, honestly, no. I haven't thought about him that much. I've kind of moved on because I was already moving on a year ago. Over a year ago. I think when I wrote that YouTube post on the left-hand channel, something in me was already moving. Holding on, yet moving. You know what I mean? So now, when I cut it, and I go, no, he is not my guru. I'm not saying anything about him as a guru anymore. I had videos that were going up, but they've all been taken out of the queue or re-edited, and will be put back up, and I'm not mentioning he's a guru. I just really don't care. I just moved on, and I'm okay with that. Have I found a new guru? No. I really think we have it all wrong about gurus. I think we run after the wrong people. But no, I've not been sad. I've not even really been thinking about him. That's one reason I haven't done this show. Partly I was waiting to see if anything else happened and nothing did. But also, I just really didn't care. I didn't really want to talk about him. I just didn't care. Sri Acharya changed my spirituality. He cut me from Adidam firmly. I was inspired by him. He inspired me to purge my belief system. I learned a lot from him. I still think he's a great teacher, but he is fallible. He's not humble, and he's not always right. And he says some things that he shouldn't say, puts him in a bad spot. As I said, he's not a cult leader, so it's sad that he had to act like one in a 3-hour recording. Again, I'd love to hear that. The ISDS is not a bad group. I think of all the groups out there, you could do way worse. And I still subscribe to Frank on YouTube, though I don't watch it anymore. I don't really give a shit. I watch it just to see what he's up to. I've moved on from him, and I'm okay with that. What's next? I don't know. I'm reading book 7 of the Srimad Bhagavatam. I stopped, and now I've picked it up again. I'm going to be doing a video on the Book of Mormon, because I read that last year. Oh, life just is. I have some changes coming up in my life. We've been dealing with family, which had a blow up recently, so I've just been doing a material thing. Working on this channel. You know, it's interesting because I changed the name of this channel to something more political after I got the email from this woman that I read. And I know they were connected to each other. It was around Christmas that I changed the channel, but it had been in my mind for a while. Like when I was told not to come to Omaha, I think something did switch off for me at that point. I think this woman did kind of cut the cord for me with him. She's cut the cord with other people. She's really, she's been called a monster who needs to get back on her drugs, who does a lot of harm by having outbursts. That's what I've seen this woman described as, and that's sad. And I wasn't the only one. Again, I'm holding back and saying who. Some people know who. I don't know what else to say. That's my list. Nothing's happened. I was trying to think if anyone had any questions. I haven't glossed over anything. I think I've been completely honest. I think I've told you everything that I can remember. I think I've worn my voice harsh. I think it's time for lunch. if Frank wishes to email me, be my guest. I think I've been fair. So if he emails me and blah, 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 okay. I'll probably respond, though. I think I tried to balance out everything and show lots of details here. So I'm not just sitting here ranting, oh, this stupid person. Oh, this stupid person. I'm doing more than that. I'm trying to really show the big picture and this spiritual growth and this personal growth so you can see where I'm coming from. And you can say, hey, this was just you. I got that. It may just be me. But others left the ISDS last year, though for different reasons. So it is kind of ironic that I had issues, but also others did too, and it all kind of happened in 2025, the golden year, the second golden year, the third golden year. That was the golden year. ISDS collapses. Yeah. So I think that's all I have to say. I think I'm done. I can't think of anything else that I wanted to share. I wanted to share this story. And I know this has been the longest video I've been in a while. And I will be going back to politics soon. I haven't done a video in a while because I've just been so busy. We ran 2 marathons this past month, and there's just been a lot going on, so I haven't had a chance to make videos. But I wanted to share this, and yeah. So, if anyone wishes more details or has thoughts or has comments, please send me an email. I don't get to comments. I have a lot of comments that come on this channel, plus I'm on Spotify, Rumble, BitChute, and I don't see them, and a lot of them are really negative, so honestly, I just don't respond anymore. So if you want a response, please send me an email. I will respond to every email that is sent to me. I don't care if you send me a 300-page book ripping me to shreds. I will respond to you. It just may take me a while to read 300 pages. That's my promise. If you email me, I email you. We've not had anyone in the chat window today, so thanks for letting me speak. Yeah. If you want to know or thoughts or whatever, I've tried to be fair. I've been honest. I've tried to show the big picture. I'm just trying to think if I've left anything out before I call it a day. I don't think I have. So yeah, with that, again, Frank, this was partly for you because I still think you're a good teacher. And I don't want you to fail because I don't want your child or children to be impacted. And if there's anything I have said that is absolutely a lie, I'm going to confess right now, I didn't know it was a lie, and I've tried to be clear when I've quoted from other sources. I believe you were married twice. I will say that's the one thing I've said in this show that I'm not absolutely firm on. You might have been married once. I could have sworn that I heard that you had 2 kids, though. So that's the one thing I said in this show that I'm not too sure about. Other than that, everything, yeah. And one more thought, and this is for you, Frank. Your Be Strong book, which I called out as basically a guy who goes to Planet Fitness and now thinks you're an expert, because gurus know everything. The audience you may want for that book isn't going to read it, because people who are into sports read books by people who are into sports. My wife has quite a collection of running books by really hardcore runners, like David Goggins style. Or right next to me is Born to Run, Endure. I'm looking at Goggins right now and a few other books. Scott Jurek. An ultra-marathoner writes an ultra-marathon book and ultra-marathons read it. Because as an ultra-marathon, I respect another ultramarathoner because they can understand what I go through. I know this guy who's a self-proclaimed expert on everything. He has run over 10 years, has run 2 half marathons. I have done 2 ultras. God, I've done 15 races, hurt myself, 2 ultras. I just ran... I just celebrated my 49th birthday, and the next day I ran a 50K in 7 hours something. I've done that twice. I've run marathons. I've run in the snow. I've run in the rain. I've run when hurt. I ran a race in January where I felt like I was going to throw up. Yet my friend, who's run two half marathons, will lecture me on how to run. Like, dude, my wife she's run 100-mile marathons. Please lecture her on how to run a marathon when you've run 15 miles and she's done 100. You don't get it. So, Frank, your book on Be Strong, I know you probably want people who are athletes to read that, but you're not an athlete. You're a guy that goes to the gym. And I don't even believe you're as toned as you think you are. Show me some pictures. Though you did control your weight. That's nice. But you're just a gym guy. Those people aren't going to be getting your book. And as for people in Hinduism or Sanatana Dharma who might be interested in your book, a lot of them don't go to the gym. So I don't know who your audience is, but I think if you're going to write a book, you got to know you're not going to reach the people you want. You're not an authority. Okay? No more than I think I could reach a book writing about the secrets of rocket science, even though I'm not a rocket scientist. And based on my time as a paralegal, reading a book about rocket science, it's not going to work. And I would love to read it, but I don't want to waste the money on it. But I sort of feel sorry for you when I saw this book out. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, you're not going to get the audience you want. My wife would never read it because you're not an authority. You haven't put in the paces. A diet book might be good. Also, you criticized running once. You to my face in a video was like, oh yes, do a talk on running, because everyone knows I'm a runner. And then in a video, on more than one occasion, you're like, well, everyone should lift weights, that's the best. You basically make weightlifting your thing the best, and you put down the rest of us, because we're not doing what you're doing. That kind of rubbed me the wrong way. So that's just a little side note for you, Frank. I'd like to see you go run a marathon or an ultra, then come and talk to me before you put me down, because I'm not lifting weights. All right. That is all I am now going to say. Yeah, this is a very cathartic thing for me to do this and to talk to you, and it's very emotional, and I feel a little bit depleted. Also hungry for lunch. So I'm not going to leave you on this Saturday afternoon. Here it is, the end of May. Where has this year gone? Thank you for hanging out with me. I'm going to try to start doing more regular shows of the politics like I was doing. This was running month. We had 2 marathons this month, so it was just very busy. And with that, I'm going to say thank you so much for hanging out with me. Hopefully this show has been of interest or of value or something. And yeah, I look forward to hearing from you. Please email, do not hesitate. And I wish you all the best. All the best in your spiritual journey, in your life journey, and be well. Take care. Rock on.